I'm Rob Thompson on top of a very hot Thompson Hill and James Pledger in the glass box of fun. Once again, it is, at least we got a breeze today. I mean, it's a hot wind. It's like a convection oven instead of just your straight up oven. But, you know, anything's better than 107. We did it, though. You can say to your grandkids, at one point, you had survived the hottest day in July for a San Antonian that anybody had ever had to survive. You did it. It's all downhill from here.
Well, wait, it was the hottest day in July, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't the hottest day we've ever had.
The hottest day in July that San Antonio has ever had. You survived it. There's only 12 other dates 12 other temperatures that you can even talk about, or 11 other temperatures you can even talk about. So,
sure,
you did it. We all did it. Let's all back up and celebrate the accomplishment that was had on a Monday afternoon when they hit 107 degrees. Hey, we're going to talk a lot about Dak Prescott today, of course, as we are now 24 hours and counting. 23 hours as we sit today, waiting to see if Dak will indeed sign a long-term deal with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll look front to back on how we got here, look at the company that Dak keeps according to some of the stats, and try to figure out if there is a contract in the works. We'll do that in post-haste. 4:30, Matt Barnes, the NBA, longtime NBA player. He's a pundit now. He's got a great podcast with one of the good friends of the show, Stephen Jackson, called All the Smoke. Now, Jason, Matt's about to start playing in a basketball tournament in Vegas. Is that correct?
He is, and you probably have seen some promos for it. It's called the 5 tournament. There's a lot going on with that. I think it's July 19th through the 29th there in Vegas. They've created their own little bubble, and we'll talk to Matt about that. Of course, the NBA bubble and everything else that is going on in the sports world.
Yeah, his good friend Stephen Jackson certainly been front and center in the Black Lives Matter movement, and Matt's certainly had a fair amount to say as well. So it'll be interesting to catch up with a very outspoken, very intelligent former basketball player, current NBA type. He'll be here at 4:30. While we got news yesterday that Russell Westbrook will not report immediately to the bubble as he has tested positive for COVID-19 and is in quarantine as we sit right now. James Harden in there either, but those guys got some good news today that the NBA has reversed policy on something probably as important to the actual games for a lot of the NBA players. You know, they had originally gotten, when they got that manual, 105 pages of things you can and can't do. One of them was get dressed for the game in your room, in your hotel room. Put on your sweats, put on everything you need, and then report to the game and play, and then you will take care of it afterwards. Well, the NBA has decided that, half the fun of playing is getting dressed up to play. You got to walk the red carpet every day, which has really become part and parcel to a lot of these NBA types. Well, guess what? Today they get to do it. They found out today, and we'll call it the Russell Westbrook rule, that you can dress up appropriately and walk to the game down the red carpet, as we so look forward to seeing. They get to do that now. Now Russell just got to get healthy and test negative so he can show up and show us his clothes. We know PJ Tucker brought 60 pairs of kicks for just such occasions, so maybe he was hoping that it would occur.
See, this is what I don't understand. I mean, are they going to start shipping boxes of clothes to their hotel rooms?
Hell yeah.
And do they each now get 2 rooms? They get a clothed room and then the room they're going to sleep in. I mean, I think about Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin tells us that, Super Bowl week, he's there for a week and generally goes 2 suits a game or 2 suits a day. That he
low for my numbers. I like 3 or 4. I like to, I like to throw one on about every 3 hours to really keep people guessing,
But I think about Michael Irvin, as told us many times, as he prepares for Super Bowl week, he's down there for about 10 days. And to pick out his outfits that far in advance is difficult because, the choices. And then you've got to ship them to the hotel. And then once they get there, then you got to make sure they're all looking good. I don't know why any of these NBA players would want to add that kind of stress to their life. You're in a hotel room. If you're Russell Westbrook, you're hoping to be there for several months. How many pairs of clothes? Them hotel room closets aren't that big, and generally they only give you like 8 hangers. you know, like if we're going somewhere for a week and I'm a hanger up guy, I know Rob, you just throw it all over the floor, but you know, like between the wife and I, there's never enough hangers, right? What are they going to do with all these clothes
right now? You're talking to a guy right now, and if you're on our Facebook Live feed, if you're on our YouTube channel, I ironed this shirt today, and I'm not even going to leave the house. So while things do start on the floor, they are always crisp and ready when they're going to be seen. I can identify with this, man. We'll talk about it a lot, but there's something to preparing yourself for activity, for action, whatever that is. And if you're accustomed to getting ready for a game 4 hours early, you put on your suit or whatever it might be, and that's your process. I think that's important. I'm not surprised that NBA players wanted that, because if your process for preparation is first picking out something nice, you look good, you play good, go do it, man. I mean, I can picture this turning into a full-on news story. That entire teams might start dressing the same. We've seen these guys do this kind of stuff before. These guys are at summer camp. I mean, they got lots of free time. So the ability to kind of dress up before a game, I think, is going to be taken advantage of by these guys. And the Amazon deliveries and all that are going to pick up. You're right. I think there's some stuff's going to have to be rotated through, because it just ain't enough room in your room. You have to send stuff home to bring in the next shipment for the following week, so you can look adequately appropriate.
Well, see, and that's it. I mean, you've got that, and then you got guys that are getting sent to quarantine, like they're put on restriction, grounded. Go to your room 10 days because you crossed the boundary to get an order of Uber Eats. So what happens when your clothes come? Because some of those guys might be excited and go meet that delivery man that crosses the boundary line.
Not today. If you haven't heard, there have been 3 players that have been put into quarantine for leaving their rooms. A couple go to pick up food. One just crosses the line. 3 days in, 3 idiots, man. I say idiot, and I shouldn't. But you just went through level upon level of security, testing beyond belief. And the very first opportunity you had, you somehow managed to break quarantine. You know, if you were a freshman or sophomore in college and your head coach had to deal with this, I have a feeling there'd be a little bit more than a quarantine, the 10 days in the hole, as it were. I think there'd be a physical test, some kind of a feat of strength that you would have to accomplish to prove your desire to come and join your team, because you're obviously too stupid to take care of yourself. So we're going to have to work this into you in another way. So you'll not forget when the food's come and stay in your room, bro, because this can't happen again. It's joking matter. And one of the kids that came out of the Sacramento Kings, his mom's a physician, a doctor by trade, and said, the only time you ever cross the line is for my food, and I ain't in Florida. I mean, they're trying to laugh it off. Dude, there's too much at stake for this. The NBA has way too much at stake. The entire sporting world has way too much at stake for this. For some 10th guy on the bench at Sacramento Kings garb decides at 11 o'clock tonight to go pick up a Popeyes and brings back the virus, and suddenly everybody's got it and the whole world collapses because you needed some chicken. I don't think if I was their coach, I would take too kindly to this. We need some locker room justice.
And there will be. But you know what? You know what I am glad about? Is it happened early. You knew there would be some knuckleheads. You knew there would be somebody on that team that you can't trust, somebody in that bubble that you can't trust. You get it out of the way early, and now everybody realizes, oh, they ain't playing around. That they're not playing around. I mean, because we've seen stories about, the booty calls that have already happened. Apparently, some Instagram model has said she's already been invited inside the bubble. There's
Ugly Anna.
I don't even know what that means, but I didn't click on the link you sent yet, Pledge. Is she ugly?
She's got 15,000 followers because of her skill at games. She's a fine video gamer, and it is so fun to watch her on Twitch. Yeah. I can see why she got invited.
It's fun to watch her on Twitch.
Yeah.
I just pulled up the photo. I certainly understand why she got invited.
Yeah, she's a gamer. I mean, that term can be used a lot of different ways, but I've been told she's a gamer.
Did you say Twitch or twerk?
Well, both. I mean, the twerk is actually on the dark web.
On Twitch.
Well,
if you're on twerk, that's one of what you can buy Social Security numbers and you can see gamers twerking. I don't think I get that on my inner tubes.
But the Kardashians are the odds-on favorite to hit the bubble first and break on through to the other side.
We talked about this. Players have needs. They're not allowed to invite anybody in until the second round of the playoffs when some of these rooms come open. We already hear word that one of the, I don't know what, groupies? That's an old term. There's got to be a better term for.
I think groupies is the right word.
Is groupies still a thing? Okay. Girlfriends?
Well, I mean, groupies are still a thing.
She helps out in little ways.
Makes the players happy. Plus 225 is the odds-on favorite to get inside the bubble first.
That would be another pandemic on a whole different scale if one of the if one of the Kardashians found their way inside of the bubble. We'd have to quarantine a lot of other stuff.
Well, I was with the Kardashians. You test positive for what?
Yeah. A positive test, suddenly we're asking about a whole other batter of tests. There's some other things that might need to be looked at. Hey, we're certainly going to talk a lot of Dak. College football continues to kind of stumble toward a decision. We heard from Commissioner Sankey over the weekend of the SEC. Current trends don't look good. We had a letter published yesterday by the athletic director at Iowa State, kind of defining to all of the alumni of the school what it would mean if they don't play football, the shortfall that could come, and the difficult balance that athletic directors and universities have to come to, where they're, judging the safety of the players and all involved against just thorough devastation of athletic programs. Think about the millions and millions that could be gone in the effect, and certainly it's worthy of consideration as they try to find a way to play on the heels of such bad news. We're going to talk a lot about that. In the NBA jersey store, we've all ordered jerseys. Some of us go to the legit NBA site. Other go to, those less than legit sites over in Asia where you can get a jersey done.
But they are $20. They're the same thing.
Maybe not with that little 3D little silver tag that might be a little off.
It's there.
It doesn't quite match, but it's all there.
But my $20 one from China up against your $300 one, and
I completely agree. But the primary difference, it seems. Now, I'm not sure what those knockoffs will allow you to put on your shirt, but if you order through the NBA's website, there's a couple things you can throw on the back of your shirt that there leaves some people questioning, and then there's some things you can't put on that are also a little bit surprising. We're going to talk about maybe the NBA needs to tighten up what you can put on the back of your jerseys through their website, because the Chinese, this is an issue that needs to be taken care of pretty quick. Lots to talk about today. Let's come back talking about Dak Prescott. We're 24 hours and counting from the deadline for the brand new contract that so many of us expected to have signed. Is it going to happen? And let's look at why it might not have. Coming up next, you're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Injuries do happen, and when they do, you can skip the ER and get straight to an Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for acute injuries like broken bones, dislocations, sprains, strains, and other sports injuries. At Ortho Now, they have on-site x-ray, casting, and bracing. Everything you need to treat your injury, and best of all, no urgent care or emergency room copay. They have 2 San Antonio locations with extended hours Monday through Saturday. So if you're injured, get to an Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics. To find out more information, go to tsaog.com/orthonow. That's tsaog.com/orthonow.
We're number 1 on Kate Upton's presets.
Okay, we probably are.
But how awesome would that be?
Yes, I was.
Hi, Kate. San Antonio sports leader. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM.
All day, every day.
Blake Stevens with San Antonio-based GPS of Texas. If you have commercial vehicles on the road, you're a target for personal injury lawyers. I mean, you're wearing a bullseye. Our system can protect you if there is an accident with proof of speed, video monitoring, even proof that your driver wasn't on his phone. Don't get hammered. Have real proof that you weren't at fault by installing our GPS camera tracking system. Call GPS of Texas at 210-587-7634 or gpsoftexas.com.
Nobody plans on getting arrested, but it happens. Get out of jail fast by calling my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. Call AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans and are open 24/7. Call AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Everyone loves Rico's nachos, but not everyone enjoys them in exactly the same way. If you're a kid at heart with no nacho rules, you're a nacho rebel. Crispy nacho chips, cheesy molten goodness, and spicy jalapenos are just the beginning. You and your rebellious mind can come up with all kinds of toppings. Explore your nacho creativity with Rico's Nachos. Rico's products are available at H-E-B, Walmart, and other grocery and club stores. For more info, go to ricos.com. Rico's, how to nacho.
Think about this little bicycle bell. It may seem small, but it comes from a small business. One of thousands on eBay. Powered by people, millions of people. All over the country, all working to get you exactly what you want. So your little one can safely ride her bike all summer long. That's no small thing. That's everything. Get your thing on eBay.
It could be a routine drive to pick up the kids after school or an epic road trip across the country. No matter where your travels take you, we know those miles count. We're Marathon. We have over 5,700 stations across our great nation. Our people are working hard every day to provide you with quality top-tier gasoline to improve engine performance and fuel your life. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Always going for it, never punt. Fourth down, last call, Hail Mary, Prescott, touchdown, hey. 100 bands in my pocket, it's on me.
Can he put Kelsey on this in this song? Did he tap that on his face? It's Post Malone. You're on the Blitz. You're on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, on the go at ESPNSA.com. The Blitz is always brought to you by the Thompson Law Firm. If you're dealing with an insurance company, yours or another, after a car collision, and you do not have an attorney representing you, I can tell you that the insurance companies have attorneys working against you right now. Hire an experienced winning attorney, one that will take your business and take care of you. At lawyerforus.com. Jason Thompson, his name, the number to remember, 210-900-0400, or go to a lawyerforus.com. Jason, this is going to go down when we look back on the early or late or the end of the Dak Prescott era, whatever we might be sitting at now. And I do believe we've got a long time as Dak Prescott as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But with every passing day and now every passing minute, looks like we're going to go through this for another year. It looks like the no contract will be offered nor signed either way from Dak Prescott. Now, we could be wrong. There might be something in the works, but as we sit, 24 hours from now, Dak Prescott will be on the franchise tag, heading up there toward about $31.5 million and heading toward a $38 million paycheck next year in the midst of all that's going on with COVID in the NFL. How did we get here? How do we get here?
Well, I mean, we're here because Dak Prescott wants a short deal and the Dallas Cowboys want a long-term deal. And until we start this show tomorrow at 4:00, I am going to say that I still think that a deal gets done between Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but there's something in me that thinks that Jerry is going to cave. Jerry is going to give Dak what he wants years-wise, and they will come to an agreement on what the dollar valuations are in that difference between the extra year that the Cowboys want and that gets that ridiculous guaranteed money. When I think about the cost of trying to get him to play on a tag next year, now that doesn't mean if they don't get a deal done, he plays this year on a tag and they don't get one. I don't see him doing 2 years on a tag with a flat cap and the uncertainty. But I do think a deal gets done before tomorrow, and I think the silence is screaming very loudly at me. And I've been pretty consistent all along that I think Jerry caves. But I was reading an article that was penned by Lee Steinberg just yesterday, in fact, that he published, talking about how it's best to not negotiate through the media and the issues that causes. Now, Lee just completed a 10-year, $500 million deal with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs that nobody knew about. Apparently, they were working on this during the Super Bowl, and we had Lee on the show, and he didn't talk about that. He talked about just eventually, and the timing is right. He kept it quiet. There are other agents that love to talk through the media, but the fact that we don't hear anything from Dak, we don't hear anything from CAA. And we haven't heard anything from Jerry or Steven in a while. makes me wonder if they're not following that tactic. Let's keep it private until we have a deal or don't have a deal at the deadline.
It's possible. Jerry doesn't do that, though. This will be a first. If he shut up for a month as he was attempting to hammer down the Dak Prescott, or 2 months. That just isn't Jerry. So I appreciate all that. I think the silence for a long time was deafening. Now I think we're realizing that both sides are dug into this. And the crazy thing about Dallas Cowboy fandom is with the Dallas Cowboys, there's always a but. When you look at Dak Prescott, you can find a whole bunch of great numbers that prove that he is, in fact, in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. But you can also find a whole bunch of numbers that show that he isn't, depending on your relative level of adoration of Dak Prescott. You go to R.J. Ochoa, I know what he's going to throw out. You go to anti-Dak types, I know the numbers they're going to throw out. And today, Dan Orlovsky on Get Up with Greenberg brought up all of the naysayer side of things with Dak Prescott. When you go, why would you sign him to long-term, high-dollar deal when these numbers exist? And while I find Dan Orlovsky, for the most part, 50-50, there's a lot of times I like him. Other times I think he makes some valid points. And he says it in a very interesting way. I think today he kind of summed up those anti-Dackers when you talk about long-term deals and the amount of money we're talking about with an NFL quarterback. We'll hear what Dan Orlovsky had to say.
He has not been great. And I think that's the center of the contract negotiations is when I need you to be your best, have you been your best? And Dak and his agent can't answer that question as a yes to the Dallas Cowboys, Greeny. He's been a good player, but when you look back at last year, because everyone's talked about the numbers, and it's his best season, I would say a lot of those numbers are very hollow. He led the NFL in touchdowns against bad teams. Let's see what he did against good teams, against top 10 defenses last year, Greeny. In the contract season, they were 0-5. He threw 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last year, they had 9 possessions, 5 playoff teams. They had 9 possessions in the fourth quarter where they have the opportunity to tie the game or take the lead. They went 0 for 9. In those 9 possessions, they kicked 2 field goals. The only other team to perform that bad with that amount of possessions was the 2017 Browns that didn't win a game. And Greeny, it's not just tied to last year. In the last 2 seasons, right? In the last 2 years, when the Cowboys play a playoff team, which is what you're paying great quarterbacks to do, be your best against playoff teams, Dak has more turnovers than touchdowns. Last year, when you look at the quarterbacks that played the best against top 10 defense, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Russell Wilson, it's Deshaun Watson, it's Drew Brees, it's Carson Wentz. Dak's not up there. And so that's why I think this is giving the Cowboys a lot of pause to pay Dak.
See it now. The last part there, I don't think any of that matters when it comes to the negotiations. I really don't. It's about years and dollars, and all the stuff that he just pointed out. Isn't that all the stuff that we blamed Jason Garrett for?
That's
play calling, right. Field call. You know what I mean? And you're right. You can pull those numbers out and you can put those up there as to why not. If you were just going to take that minute and a half from Dan Orlovsky, why would there be a conversation with Dak Prescott about any kind of extension if you just go with what Dan Orlovsky just spewed out there?
You can always find the but when you're talking about the Cowboys and exclusively with Dak at quarterback. There's enough to prove your point no matter where you stand. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about is the addition of McCarthy. Now, his arrival, we thought, would signal the era of this phenomenal offense and Dak Prescott helming what we saw in Green Bay with an addition of a running back, better wide receiver talent. There was nothing stopping anybody but just handing Dak the keys. Do you think McCarthy plays any role in the delay? Do you think McCarthy said, yeah, he's good, but he ain't everything I want, and next year we could have us a Cam Newton, we could have us a couple of other quarterbacks. Hell, we got an Andy Dalton sitting down here for a third the price, and I'll get the same output from him. Let's spend the money another way. There's no thought that Mike McCarthy would have said, let's give this a year, man. Let's look at this guy under my tutelage, and then let's come back and talk.
No, and I think partly is everything that was said about Dak by McCarthy and Jerry when he was hired. His love of Dak Prescott is one of the reasons that the Cowboys hired Mike McCarthy. And honestly, I don't know this year with the pandemic, no OTAs, no offseason. Are we going to know anything more about Mike McCarthy and what he could do with Dak Prescott, or is next year going to be another but? But they didn't really get a full offseason together, so if Dak struggles, is it going to be because of the pandemic? Is that going to be one of those but excuses that you're going to be able to throw in there? I think it just purely comes down to length of contract. Dak wants a short deal to be able to hit the market again when the new TV contracts hit. The Cowboys want to lock him up longer term. That makes it easier to spread that massive signing bonus out so they can surround him with other players.
We'll find out. We got about 20 hours to go before we actually have the answer as to whether Dallas Cowboys will offer a long-term deal to Dak Prescott. As it sits today, he's under the franchise tag. It can hang around for 3 more years, but the dollar values there start to double and quadruple, and we start to getting into that $100 million guaranteed every year if you keep going that far. We'll continue talking Dak, but when we come back, Matt Barnes is going to join us, former NBA player, certainly a guy in the know and never been ashamed or afraid to offer his point of view. He's about to play in a tournament in Las Vegas for some older dudes called the Five. We're going to talk to him about that, but certainly the NBA bubble life as life returns to questionable normal with the NBA. Matt Barnes is going to join us next. You want to hang around for that here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
And we talk about football season. We want football season. Put your mask on. So Greg Popovich do a PSA with our mayor about wearing a mask. You need a mask. Get into Sammy's Embroidery Club on San Pedro. Sam is open, and he has masks. The washable, reusable cloth mask. You need them for your employees. You can get them there. Get your logo put on the mask or the Gators. Minimum order of 25 with your logo. But we all need more than one mask, and we're going to be in them for a while. So go get multiples. Sammy's got them, a variety of colors, variety of sizes, even has youth sizes as you think about the kiddos going back to school before too long. If you're in the medical field, Sam's Embroidery Club does have the surgical medical masks, the KN95s, disposable surgical masks that are certified FDA and CDC approved. In fact, Sam has been supplying masks for the city of San Antonio, for Bexar County, surrounding counties. He even has the contract for the state of Illinois and Cook County, Illinois, because he is an approved vendor. He's got the real thing. So if you need him, if you're in the medical field, a doctor's office, dentist's office, at a hospital, standalone ER, one of those urgent care centers, call Sammy's Embroidery Club, 210-824-3900. Check the website, samsembroidery.com, or go visit that massive showroom on San Pedro. It's a mile inside Loop 410 next to Big Lots across from McDonald's. 210-824-3900. Call Sam. He's standing by his phone right now. He's going to be the one that works with you on your project. 210-824-3900 for Sammy's Embroidery Club.
100% sports. 100% of the time. That's 200% sports.
Your math is blowing my mind.
San Antonio sports leader. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
Jason Minix here for BSG, the company that brings you the best in home security and smart home technology. You want to protect what matters most, your family and your home, and you can do that by calling BSG at 210-877-1222 or go to their website, bsgtexas.com. We moved into a new house in January. BSG did my security system. They also did my surround sound speaker system, put the speakers in the ceiling, got the unit. It sounds fantastic. Then we added the AC thermostat, outdoor lights, garage door opener, all automatic, all works on the same app with my security system. So while I'm adjusting the volume on my TV, I can also check the security camera, see what's going on in the front yard. It's very cool. BSG has so much in smart home technology. We're all working from home now, or so many of us are. Get a Wi-Fi mesh network that BSG can install to. It's not an extender. A mesh network is 100% just like you're right next to the router. So you can eliminate that buffering wheel that we all see when streaming or online, and you don't have a bunch of cables running all over the floor. BSG is a local company. They've been in San Antonio for over 20 years. No gimmicks, no high-pressure salespeople. From home security to smart home technology. Do what I did and call BSG. 210-877-1222 is the phone number, or go to the website, bsgtexas.com.
This ESPN San Antonio Sports Center update's brought to you by Alamo Water Softeners, 274-6122. I'm James Pledger, and in the NFL, things aren't looking good for a long-term contract extension with Cowboys and franchise quarterback Dak Prescott ahead of tomorrow's deadline. As ESPN's Todd Archer reports, there are no scheduled talks between Prescott, his camp, and the Cowboys ahead of tomorrow's 3 p.m. deadline. Dak's scheduled to make $31.4 million this year under the franchise tag. In the NBA, Spurs assistant coach Tim Duncan is not in the NBA bubble in Orlando as he stayed back in San Antonio to help LaMarcus Aldridge with his rehab from shoulder surgery that he underwent back in April. In Major League Baseball, the Houston Astros have announced a pair of exhibition games in Kansas City against the Royals at Kauffman Stadium that are scheduled for July 20th and 21st to wrap up their spring training schedule. The Astros will open up their shortened 60-game season a few days later on July the 24th against the Seattle Mariners. The Texas Rangers suffered a couple of injuries in yesterday's inter-squad scrimmage as Robinson Chirinos rolled his ankle in a home plate collision, although imaging turned up negative. Also, Rangers outfielder Willie Calhoun had to leave the game due to a tight hip flexor. Finally, in the TCL, the San Antonio Flying Chocolates have won 3 straight and are 7-4 on the season. They'll return to action later tonight as they take on the Victoria Generals, who are 5-7 on the year. First pitch for tonight's game is set for 7:05. I'm James Pledger for ESPN San Antonio.
Heard in an accident and bills piling up? Thomas J. Henry can advance living expenses on qualified cases. Start your claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio. San Antonio, Texas.
Tune in to the Blitz today for the ESPN San Antonio Injury Update, powered by the Sports Institute at TSA OG Orthopedics. Catch up on the latest injuries and how it will affect your team. The Sports Institute at TSA OG Orthopedics, 210-804-5555.
These days, more and more women are asking for fancy-shaped diamonds. Ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, ashers, marquise, heart-shaped, pear-shaped, emerald cuts. All very popular this year. And no one has more of these special shapes than Diamonds Direct. In fact, we've just increased our selection of these beautiful stones with sizes ranging from a half carat up to 10 carats. And while other jewelers will try to tell you these fancy shapes cost more, the fact is, as you'll learn at Diamonds Direct, fancy shaped diamonds should always cost up to 20% less than the same size round diamond. Plus, in many cases, a fancy shaped diamond will have a larger face and appear bigger than a round diamond with the same carat weight. So, with a fancy shaped diamond, you can get a bigger look for a lower price and have a diamond that stands out from the crowd. Come to Diamonds Direct and get the facts about fancy shaped diamonds, see the largest selection, and get the guaranteed best price. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
At the shops at La Cantera.
For streaming, creating, gaming, and more, power your passions for less during Dell's exceptional cyber savings event. Enjoy up to $400 off stunning laptops like the XPS, along with high-performance desktops and next-level Alienware systems, redefining what's possible with 10th Gen Intel Core processors. Shop special prices on top brand electronics and accessories, plus enjoy free shipping on everything. Don't forget to ask for Intel when you call 800-BUY-DELL. That's 800-BUY-DELL.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the thrill of the revving engine and pure adrenaline of flying down the highway, to the confidence of knowing that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service. But Ari Snyder has one reason in particular.
I have extremely large upper arms. They won't even fit into most shirts. Thankfully, biking really embraces vest culture, so I feel accepted.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
It is the Blitz. Welcome on to ESPN San Antonio. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. Go to ESPNSA.com on the regular. Go there now. You can see our broadcast live, our YouTube channel. Do it every day, 4 to 7. We're waiting on Matt Barnes, former NBA player, host of a smoking podcast called All the Smoke with Steven Jackson, Captain Jack. And as we talk NBA, the bubble's in effect. And the news today was, quite frankly, the errors of some young players. We've had 3 that have had to go back into the hole, gone into quarantine, all dealing with getting some extra food for breaking quarantine to get fed. We had a Sacramento King that ordered some delivery and walked across. I guess there's a line of demarcation. There's like you're on this side of the line, you're going to stay clean and safe. You go the other side, you could be contaminated. And he crossed it, getting himself some food. it is what it is, unfortunately. 8 days in the hole, and you get the feeling this isn't going to be even the last time. Who was it, James, that just said nobody needs to be snitching on that?
The future Spur.
The San Antonian.
Well, the one that's not there, the one that tested out. I guess that's the best way to put it. Yeah, the quarantine's going to be tough, man. If we're already seeing breaks, if we're already seeing guys desperate to go, what happens in 2 or 3 weeks? It's funny, but this is so serious. I have genuine concerns about the possibility of staying inside the bubble, and everybody saying relatively, free or safe. If guys are already busting it, Jace.
Well, I think early on, like in the one case, he said he was confused he didn't realize he broke the quarantine. If you buy that, you go through and you look at all the different situations. I'm actually kind of glad this is happening early because they see how the NBA is reacting, and then they're reacting very swiftly. And you don't want to be that guy. It certainly makes the news. Your teammates are pissed at you. Everybody else is going to be pissed at you. There is a little bit of policing going on with this when you do look at it that way, because it does kind of throw out that we're not playing around, and you don't break the bubble. It doesn't matter. You're gonna have to go in and isolate. They've got to protect the bubble. And you go back to what Greg Popovich said. At 71 years old, if the bubble works, he is safer there than he is in Texas. And so I think as guys start to understand the seriousness of the bubble and what they're allowed to do, I was last night on his Instagram story, Bucks assistant coach Chad Forcier walking all around the complex and the lake. And I mean, they're at the nice hotel, but I mean, and I'm looking at that going, there's a little more freedom here than maybe you think. So you do have to really kind of screw up to break the bubble. But even Patty Mills talked a little bit about how easy the boundaries are to understand early on. Now, when he did his Zoom press conference yesterday, he says he was unaware that somebody had already broken the boundaries and gotten a little bit of trouble.
Me. It wasn't me. I'll make that clear. My boundary lines have been inside of the hotel room. Yeah, look, it is a bubble, and like I stated earlier, that the health and safety was a concern, but I think you're still able to control a lot of that, regardless of the boundary lines that are already set. But everything. It wasn't ever going to be smooth sailing. I think everyone understood that, and we were going to have some hiccups along the way. So it's just about how we can minimize that to the best of our abilities or the league's abilities, and we handle it and we try to move on. But first priority is everyone's health. But you just hope that everyone can cooperate and do what's asked of them, because it is our health at the end of the day that's at stake here, and us just being able to get on the court and play.
So I think he kind of summed it up the best. They expected some hiccups along the way. I think what you saw yesterday, do you just call that a hiccup?
A hiccup? All right. It's unfathomable to me that this has already happened. It's not like they just got there and they thought, I'll go get something to eat. Think of the steps that these guys had to go through just to be where they are. The at-home quarantine, the test before you leave, the test when you land, the test every 24 hours, not leaving your hotel room. All of these things you've gone through, and then the first couple of days you have some freedom. You go get delivery? Seriously, you don't realize while you're going to be relatively safe, how much is riding on this? I mean, a worldwide organization, billions of dollars are in play, billions, with TV and everything that goes along with it. And you decided you were hungry. I find it absolutely unfathomable, and at the same time, I shouldn't be surprised at all when you have Spencer Dinwiddie asking to go and nobody to turn each other in, because that's going to happen. And Ugly Anna's already on her way down to Orlando. we're in for a wild ride when we talk about that. The good news for the NBA types is if you stay in quarantine and you get to make it to actual games, you can dress up for it. The NBA has reversed their policy on prep for the games, and we'll talk about that coming up next.
And Matt Barnes is going to be with us next.
Oh, we got him? Is he coming?
Yep.
We get him?
Yep.
Matt's coming here in just a sec. We'll have him with us in about 60 seconds. Hang here on the Blitz. What are we doing, James? Do we want to stay or are we going to go?
Well, he's calling in exactly 5 minutes. We've got about 2 minutes in this break plus you're live. So,
well, let's get out.
Your discretion.
Let's clear the landing pad for Matt Barnes.
Yeah,
I'm just all I am is a pilot looking at you, waving me in. We'll take a break, and Matt Barnes is going to join us next. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com. You know, the idea of getting out and working in this heat seems a little bit daunting, but I'll tell you what, if you're dealing with pain, it's daunting every day when you're faced with something that actually hurts on the regular and you just can't get over it. If you're dealing with that kind of soft tissue pain, like I have dealt with so much with my lower back, call my friends over to Rosti. I'll tell you, they are absolute experts in resolving those soft tissue injuries that just never go away. So if you have that strained leg or you got that lower back that just won't feel better, maybe you're dealing with a plantar fasciitis in your feet and you can barely move around, or maybe those tension headaches that crawl up the back of your neck. All of them can be fixed by a Rosti in a remarkably, and I mean remarkably short amount of time. The studies have a Rosti has garnered over the last 4 years have shown that 3.2 visits is the average to get guys back in the game. So what do you need to do? First of all, go to their website, Rosti.com. I love the site because it's far more than just a little bit of information. They have an entire library of videos, of tips and tricks that are going to keep you in the game, keep you active. That's absolutely free of charge. But if you're dealing with that kind of pain that just comes and goes, or you're just tired of it, call your Rosti provider. Go on the website, find the provider that's closest to you, and let me tell you, there are hundreds of them all around San Antonio, and they're awfully easy to find. Or you can get on the website, 1-800-404-6050. Again, that's 1-800-404-6050. Either way, you know this. So Rosti providers are going to get you back in the game and get you fixed. You're going to know that they're going to accept most of your insurance and that you're never going to need a referral to go see a Rosti provider. And to go in, they are following every protocol possible to ensure that you are safe from beginning to end and while you're getting yourself well. The scheduled appointments will be taken care of. They're going to do everything that you need to have done to ensure you're absolutely safe. You know, a Rosti is one of those things a lot of people don't quite understand. This is a non-invasive procedure. We're not talking about long-term treatments. We're not talking about over-the-counter medications to dull the pain. We're talking about your body being manipulated to fix itself, and it works remarkably quick. Do not let pain keep you from doing things that you love. Get yourself back in the game. People ask me all the time, why should I go see a Rosti provider? And I tell them the same thing. It's easy. They fix pain fast.
Join ESPN San Antonio and Kitchen Designed by Giovanni for Operation Interdependence. For a complete list of items needed and drop-off locations, visit ESPNSA.com.
Brought to you in part by Airtron Heating and Air
and the Institute for Functional Health.
O'Reilly. Get your car ready for summer at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Oil? Check. Battery? Check. Wipers? Check. And don't forget your cooling system. Right now, get Peak Long Life Universal Pre-Mixed Antifreeze and Coolant for $12.99 a gallon at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's a perfect time for a powerful business refresh during Dell Technologies Cyber Savings Event. It starts now with up to 50% off high-performance Windows 10 business laptops, desktops, and servers, plus top brand electronics. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 10 Pro for business. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/small business deals.
It's time for some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced contracts. With Straight Talk Wireless, there are no contracts. It runs on America's best networks, same as the big carriers, for up to 50% less. $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. You might miss sports, but don't play games, you'll lose. Straight Talk Wireless. No contracts, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Down for the Count is your home for all things wrestling, including WWE, NXT, and AEW.
With interviews interviews of all the best wrestlers to grace the squared circle.
ESPN San Antonio presents Down for the Count every Thursday at 7 after the Blitz. Hosted by Brandon Medina and Dan Cialana.
The best damn wrestling show is here.
And that's the bottom line, because Down for the Count said so. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. Operation Interdependence. It's your chance to let the men and women in uniform know how much they mean to all of us. Join ESPN San Antonio and Kitchen Designed by Giovanni for Operation Interdependence. For a complete list of items needed and drop-off locations, visit ESPNSA.com.
Brought to you in part by Airtron Heating and Air,
Alamo Water Softeners,
Roof Fix,
Window Work, and the Institute for Functional Health. Love the Blitz? Well, why not watch along and interact with the guys every weekday from 4 to 7? You can watch the show live every day at ESPNSA.com or on the ESPN San Antonio Facebook and YouTube pages.
Just search ESPN San Antonio and subscribe.
Comment along with the show and see your comment on the screen. Another reason to keep it locked to ESPN San Antonio all day, every day. 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM.
And on the go at ESPNSA.com.
It is the Blitz here on ESPN San Antonio. Thanks for dialing us in. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. We eagerly await the Matt Barnes joining us. He should be off a Zoom call post-haste. He's getting ready to play in a basketball tournament, or coach a basketball tournament in Las Vegas coming up next week called The Five. We're interested to see that, but it's always great to catch up with Matt Barnes, co-host of a great podcast with Captain Jack, Stephen Jackson, called All the Smoke. Jack's a good friend of the show. We've had him on several times talking about their beliefs, and I like brash, unfiltered types, and that is certainly Matt Barnes. But as we wait for him, the NBA has reversed course on one of the things that I think is going to be part and parcel to the end of the season through the playoffs. You know, as the players got their manuals, what they were allowed to do and not to do. One of them was you get dressed for the game in your room, show up for your game, you play your game, go home, you shower in your room. Well, players were like, dude, part of playing is me dressing up, putting on my thread, showing off my sartorial splendor, as it were. And the NBA changed course. Now they're allowed to dress for games. Are we excited about that? I know that Russell Westbrook probably is the most excited of them all, and he's not even there yet as he has tested positive for the COVID. I know James Harden's the same way. These guys like to don a cool gear.
I'm happy for them if that makes them happy. It doesn't make a difference to me.
You're not one of the cool kids, man. You're not checking out the threads these guys are wearing down the red carpet.
Somebody on our Facebook Live just said, commenting pledge in his daily sweater vest, and said, when are you going to get Rob and Jason to dress up? And I'm thinking, dude, I am dressed up today. Actually, I put on a shirt with a collar. I'm totally dressed up today. I had to leave the house earlier. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference to me. But if it gives those guys something in that bubble, a sense of enjoyment, I'm all for it. I don't know how they're going to do it because I'm thinking about hotel closets, the lack of hangers. I mean, if you've got J.R. Reed already bitching about the size of his blanket, can you imagine him talking about the size of his closet? You had one dude show up with like 60 pair of shoes. Where's he putting them in that hotel room? Yeah, where's he putting all those shoes in his hotel room?
They're in the rookie's hotel room. That's where the extra stuff is stored. Who's the rookie? Who's the 12th guy on the bench? That guy's he's got enough room for a bed. This is how I look at it. They're trying to make things as normal as possible, and this is the one thing to make them normal. And if I'm a coach or an administrator, and I know there's a process, I know that there are guys that feel like if I look good, I will play good, and the getting ready and putting something on, I think means a lot to these guys. Remember a couple years back when LeBron had suits made for all of his team, and they were like Bermuda shorts with tall knee socks, and several guys were wearing them. That was in the finals when they were traveling. Think about all these guys that are now on essentially a 6-week summer camp. These guys are going to be planning their wardrobe. There's going to be pregame. They're all going to be wearing the same stuff. You can just feel this coming because we have to put ourselves in the mind of a millionaire. Or if money meant nothing, if you could do whatever you wanted in preparation for a game, what would you do? That's what's going on right now in Orlando, and I think it's going to be a storyline through here to watch these guys show up in mass wearing essentially the same thing.
Well, and again, I think, from that standpoint, yeah, try to keep things as normal as possible. I can only imagine, not that the Lakers have any of those prime 3 p.m. games like the Spurs do, but you get dressed up for the early Wednesday afternoon affair.
Yes.
You keep your game day routine. I'm all for whatever it is you think you're going to need. I also thought we were going to see that during the NFL draft, all these guys dressed up in their living rooms. And I don't think that 5 guys wore suits. Hell, you had one guy in a robe. You know what I mean? I thought that was what we were going to end up with at the NBA bubble, or with the locker rooms. Do you put your uniform on in your hotel room and just go over to the arena, dressed in your shorts and your jersey, ready to go?
That's what they wanted them to do initially. You were supposed to leave your hotel room fully dressed for the game. They've said, now you don't have to. Now you can wear your clothes and change at the arena. So you can, you can show out a little bit. I'm not surprised. The sad thing about this is, and I think this is worthy of discussion, the Houston Rockets and certainly Russell Westbrook's fashion, touch, his flair is well known. He's he goes to Paris and New York Fashion Weeks. He's got a line of his own clothes, as does DeMar DeRozan. I mean, this fashion is an important part of these guys' life, and the expectation that was going to be taken away. Imagine James Pledger having to come to work every day without a tie on. It just wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't feel right. I don't think he would feel like he was at work.
Well, I mean, Pledge goes from what he's got on now, which you can see on our Facebook Live or at ESPNSA.com, or he goes with hoodies and tights, and I mean, he's all over the world. I think what Adam Silver said was, we can't take away your fashion and your women. So you can have your fashion back, just keep the women out of the bubble.
Well, until the second round of the playoffs. Second round of the playoffs, you're allowed to invite people in. They got to go through the quarantine process, just like all this first wave of players. So they're going to get their opportunity. We've talked about the needs that are.
You've got to earn your way to that. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
if you got to get to the playoffs. But either way,
we're giving you extra incentive to play good, solid, hard basketball here to get to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, either way, you can go home. I mean, they either come to you or you go to them. But either way, the second round of the playoffs, everybody's tension level are going to be decreased significantly as we sit today, considering where everybody is.
Everybody's on a minutes restriction.
James, this is a serious question. Without Russell Westbrook, and we know that he's tested positive, and whether he comes to play or not is one part of it. The fact that we really don't know what's going on with James Harden, does that concern you? Do you feel like maybe he's tested positive and doesn't want to talk about it because everybody else is in camp and these two aren't?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, and he thinks, or at least he has to know that by him not being there, that's the initial thought from the entire world is your best friend who you've been hanging out with during quarantine tested positive, wasn't at the bubble on time. You're not at the bubble on time. Vis-a-vis, you obviously have tested positive and are also holding out until you can come into the bubble. Now, I do think they're eventually both going to show up once they get a clean bill of health. And once they do, that's a team that can be dangerous in this kind of short, condensed format with very little practice or chance for the teams to come back together.
With Avery Bradley's absence and with the recent injury to Rajon Rondo, the opportunity for the Rockets to truly contend have skyrocketed. I think that the Lakers are in trouble, man. I think they're still solid. You still have LeBron and Anthony Davis, but guard's going to be an issue. And not only did they lose the offense that Rondo and the playmaking ability that Rondo offers, but they lost 2 very good defensive guards. Avery Bradley was important. So not only did they lose the defense on the perimeter that they were going to count on to kind of counteract this Houston Rocket attack when and if they play each other, but the Rockets, if they're primed in the style that they play, it looked like they were going to be the dark horse favorite here, that they could literally get on a run with just these 2 guys. And without them, it will really feel like, if I'm a Houston Rocket fan, an opportunity just lost by circumstance, because I really feel like, depending on how it's reffed, the Rockets are one of those teams that I would not want to play in the second or third round of the playoffs, because if Harden's starting to cook by then, it's going to be tough to beat those guys, because no crowd influence on refs will genuinely affect how well and what Harden can get away with.
And y'all started talking about like basketball shape. Imagine having to play that style when you're not yet quite in basketball shape, or having to defend that style.
Well, I mean, obviously that's going to be an issue, but you go back to the absence of James Harden, and we don't know that he has tested positive. You might assume he has. You might assume.
No,
I mean, we don't know that he has had a positive test. We do know we saw some video that looked like he lost a whole lot of weight. You know, and it is a little surprising that he isn't there. But, you know, I think about, you know, the old saying, vet move. Is he going, you know, I can get up shots in my home gym. I can get in shape. When do I have to get there in time to be ready and not spend an extra couple of weeks inside of that bubble? And it's James Harden. Maybe that is what he is thinking, that he wants to limit the amount of time that he has in that bubble, because he knows in that offense, he doesn't need a whole lot of practice. Just get up and shoot.
The team hasn't practiced together in 3 months, and you're going to take some time off so you don't get a little stir crazy. Get your ass to the gym. I don't buy that. I don't buy that one bit. He needs to be there just as everybody's finally getting together. We've heard from so many players who say you can only put up so many shots in your driveway. You have to get with guys, and the guys have gotten, and he ain't there. So there better be a legitimate excuse for not being there, because, again, we already know you're down to Russell Westbrook, and we don't know how this is going to turn out. Hopefully it's just, you know, we just wait it out. You pass a couple tests and he shows up. But as we sit today, he is positive for the test, and he could get sick. And without him, maybe James goes, if he ain't there, there ain't no point. So I'll wait to see how this works out. And if it does work out all right, I'll show up. But either way, it does not look good for the Houston Rockets without them. And they're certainly, as we talk about puncher's chance, I think the Rockets had as good a left-handed hook, as anybody in the league. They could put you out pretty quick no matter who you are. In the 6 o'clock or the 5 o'clock hour, we got a lot to get into. As Dak Prescott has not signed his contract. We're going to hear from a couple of the San Antonio Spurs as well. Maybe Matt Barnes will make an appearance. We'll see. And college football is teetering. Lots to talk about. You want to hang around here. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Sometimes our food is more than just food. It's an integral part of our community. So this year, Discover is giving $5 million to support Black-owned restaurants. To places like Rodney Scott's Barbecue in Charleston, Post Office Pies in Birmingham, Back in the Day Bakery in Savannah, and hundreds more places in your local community, all across the country. Learn how you can show your support at discover.com.
From faulty breakers to broken windows to leaky pipes, roofs, and water heaters, homes and businesses around the country can't work until the pros do. That's why Lowe's created credit programs that work for pros. With everyday 5% savings on eligible purchases, plus through October 31st, 60 days promotional financing on your Lowe's business account, or extended terms on eligible account receivables. Learn more in-store or online at lowesforpros.com. Putting money back in your pocket. Just one more reason Lowe's is the new home for pros. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only.
Your source to local news in San Antonio begins with the San Antonio Express News. We've collected, written, and shown the stories that matter most to San Antonio. Look no further than the Express News to continue to provide information and strength to the community. Everyday news stories are spoken, providing hope and inspiration. The Express News is committed to providing timely and accurate reporting to help make a difference in the community we live in. Support local. We are San Antonio. We are the Express News. Come read us today at expressnews.com.
Blake Stevens with San Antonio-based GPS of Texas. If you have commercial vehicles on the road, you're a target for personal injury lawyers. I mean, you're wearing a bullseye. Our system can protect you if there is an accident with proof of speed, video monitoring, even proof that your driver wasn't on his phone. Don't get hammered. Have real proof that you weren't at fault by installing our GPS camera tracking system. Call GPS of Texas at 210-587-7634 or gpsoftexas.com.
At SeaWorld, real means back in the world. Wind in your hair on Texas Stingray. Laughing out loud at Sea Lion High. Real means playing outside, making new friends with dolphins and more, while leaving screens behind. Real means binge watching, binge riding, binge smiling. Real means SeaWorld San Antonio is finally open, and nothing's better than real. See how we're making your visit safer at SeaWorldSanAntonio.com.
The Home Depot makes it easier than ever to get going on your summer projects without having to go anywhere. With convenient online shopping, you can find it fast. With convenient delivery options, including free delivery, you can get it fast. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, the Home Depot delivers right to your door. Now with more ways than ever to get summer and summer projects off to a good start. Delivery options from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
O'Reilly. Get your car ready for summer at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Oil? Check. Battery? Check. Wipers? Check. And don't forget your cooling system. Right now, get Peak Long Life Universal Pre-Mixed Antifreeze and Coolant for $12.99 a gallon at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is Roger Staubach, San Antonio's sports leader, 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM.
Where the pros play. KCDC San Antonio. Jason Minix, Rob Thompson, the Blitz.
It is the Blitz. You're on ESPN San Antonio. He's Jason. I'm Rob. James producing us all the way to 7 o'clock. It's 5:01 in the blessed PM. If it's over 100 degrees, you got to change from the couch to the recliner or your chair to the dining room table, wherever you are. Get out of work. We'll take you all the way home. We're waiting on Matt Barnes. He's coming, I'm sure. His handler said 7 minutes. He's in a Zoom meeting. He's coming. We'll see if he actually does call. How many vests does Pledge own? Over or under 5? Ruben Chapa asked. You know how I know that? Because I'm watching our live feed at ESPNSA.com. Our YouTube channel available to you wherever you might be in the world. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a lot about Dak's contract this hour. Just so many questions that have to be asked. And it's just such a very typical Dallas Cowboys situation to be in. And even this is unlike the Dallas Cowboys. College football is kind of in limbo right now. We're in the final days of prep for college football. Something's going to happen here, good or bad, in the next 10 days for us to really put a finger on whether the big Power 5 teams are going to be able to play as some of the smaller conferences start peeling away. It's ESPN San Antonio injury update kind of day. We're going to talk injuries with Dr. David Espinoza at 6 o'clock. So much to get into. Well, let's talk about Dak. And Jason, I think so many of us have been on both sides of this argument for so long. You can certainly see Dak Prescott's point of view and his desire for money and short-term length of the contract. You can certainly see Jerry and the Cowboys' plans. We've watched other contracts be levied, given to those that demanded or held out, or those that, quite frankly, felt like in the Jalen Smith case, it was a surprise. They just called him in and said, "Congratulations, Jalen. Here's a contract for you." And it all worked out well. And Dak continues to wait. My question to you, Jason, on the broadest sense, as we start discussing why this hasn't happened, is why do you think Jerry chose this fight to chase? He didn't fight Zeke, who held out. That worked for Zeke. He didn't worry about DeMarcus. It was taken care of. He didn't worry about Jalen Smith. It was taken care of. Amari Cooper got it all taken care of. But the fight, the stand in principle over 4 or 5 years is one that Jerry has chosen with Dak. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, you look at Tank Lawrence. He reached a deal on the tag deadline after playing 1 year under the tag, signed the second tag tender, and then worked out that deal. You look at the deal that Jalen got, very team friendly. You look at the deal. I know a lot of people were surprised at Amari Cooper's deal, but when you look at it, that too is a very team friendly deal. You look at Myles Garrett, who right now with the Cleveland Browns is finalizing a 5-year, $125 million extension. I haven't seen what the guarantee number is, but it's at 5 years. It is so much better for the teams when they are longer contracts at 5 years. You spread that huge signing bonus off over several years, and it's just easier to absorb. And also, easier to rework if you need to. You look at how many times they've redone Tyron Smith's 10-year contract when he signed it. So, that fifth year is big for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry doesn't mind and will overpay. He's talked about that before. But it's got to be somewhat on his terms. If it's 5 years and it costs him a little bit more money, that extra year is that important. So, and for Dak to be so dug in on a shorter deal, and I totally get where Dak is at when it comes to going with a shorter deal, because you want to get this contract now, big as you possibly can, and then go through this dance one more time when all that new TV money gets there. I just look at Dak and go, man, I'm proud of you. You bet on yourself. You're a 4th-round pick. You have gambled on yourself, and at this point, you have won. You've won with the franchise tag at $31 million next year. And if Jerry caves, and I think he will, you'll get the contract that you desire. For him to go into this year, play under the tag, and risk losing it all, I don't know that is worth it. I just don't, especially looking at a year with a new coach and no offseason. If Dak sucks this year and say the Cowboys only win 4, 5, 6 games and or suffers a catastrophic injury, he'll regret that decision the rest of his life. You've been at the table, you've been winning. Cash in now. Now is the time to cash in.
Well, that would mean he caved. See, we're talking about guys caving, and while we assume it's 5, and there's been intimation that longer versus shorter and all that, that extra year to me for Jerry, you go, well, I understand we had plans in place. Our plan was for you to sign 5. We thought, this a year ago, this is where we were headed. And that's not going to come to fruition. But at some point, if you're negotiating and you realize, look, he ain't going to change his mind on this. So we're either going to play chicken, or we're going to have to start putting together a plan B in case we have to pay somebody that extra year, or find a way to keep in 5 years from now how we're going to keep some of these other guys. You hope the Cowboys have gone that direction. They've been pretty good about kicking the can down the road, but at some point the chickens are going to come back to roost, and there's not going to be a guy that will acquiesce to a long-term deal. And it sounds like Dak has seen all these other guys sign these long-term deals and then gets it reinforced once again when Mahomes signs what appears to be a whopping deal, until you look at the numbers and Dak goes, I make more money just franchised. I'll make more money over you than anybody in the league the next 2 years. If I just say no over and over and over, I'll make $68 million. But like you said, injury could ruin that. The only variable here, Jason, has been McCarthy. That's the only change here. And we don't think McCarthy has any sway in this, because I'm trying to find a reason why. Why? The extra year, I think you can fix from Jerry's point of view. You can adjust. You got a lot of time to adjust to that last year for kicking things down the road and adjusting for more money for other players. But McCarthy shows up and.
Well, but again, going with what we were told, whether they lied to us or not, who knows? But at the introductory press conference, McCarthy loves him some Dak Prescott. One of the reasons he took the job. Jerry, he loved Dak Prescott. That's one of the reasons why we gave him the job, and we think his ability with quarterbacks is going to make Dak even better. So I look at all that. The Cowboys tried to get a deal done with Dak last year, and they couldn't. Why? Years. This year, it's still years, so they had to tag him. And the reason, I don't think Dak is caving if he signs now, but when you look at the idea of a flat cap next year, uncertainty with everything that is going on, at some point when Jerry caves and shaves a year off of his ask, you sign the deal if you're Dak Prescott. And I do think Jerry ultimately caves. You hear the reports from Todd Archer that they don't have anything scheduled. Well, maybe they don't. But all they got to do is pick up the phone and say, yeah, can you jump on Zoom in the next 20 minutes? Yep, I can do that. Let's get on the Zoom and let's hammer this one out. This is Dak saying, this is the years that we want. If you can't offer us that, don't bother calling. And tomorrow before 3 o'clock, they will make that phone call. The Cowboys will.
Okay, let's play worst case scenario here, Jason. No deal comes. Dak is imminent for the franchise deal. We sit a year from today on July the 14th, right before the extension day deadline. Where are we then? Do you foresee a way that Dak Prescott will be a Dallas Cowboys 3 years from now if he's franchised this year? If he stays there? Because
think
obviously the chances go down.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, because you can't tag them twice. It's going to cost you
$38 million. Yeah. So suddenly it's up to the open market. Then I'm not sure Jerry wants to compete there either.
Well, I mean, again, you look at like Chris Jones, 4-year deal worth $85 million, and so you got Myles Garrett getting a 5-year deal, Chris Jones getting a 4-year deal, and you know, if I'm Dak's agent, I'm looking at all the 4-year deals, all the short-term deals, and saying this is what we want. These are the numbers we want. You look at Goff's deal, you look at Carson Wentz's deal. You get a little bit more guaranteed money there. A year from now, say he plays this year on a tag. It wouldn't surprise me if he got tagged again next year, if he truly does want to become a free agent. They won't tag him a third time. It's just too expensive. But even at next year's tag number, it will still be about in line what he was going to make next year on whatever contract he signs. It's going to be in that same ballpark. So he could do it all over again. I just look at the risk reward if I'm Dak Prescott and say, I need that big money. I want to be able to put $100 million guaranteed in the bank.
It doesn't seem like the Cowboys are too forthcoming with that if they can amortize that over 5 or plus years, and it just seems like that ain't coming. It is unfortunate that Jerry is, dealing with it the way that he has. He's paying the piper here. He screwed this up. When we look back, we said Jerry screwed this from the get-go, that he should have taken care of this 2 years ago, seen the future as it was going to be, and signed him first instead of last of the group that he signed.
Well, but again, though, he tried. I mean, they started talking with Dak.
He didn't try hard enough for it to get it done.
Well, I mean, it takes two, and Jerry wasn't going to cave. He caved with Zeke. He caved with Tank. He caved with Dez. He will cave with Dak Prescott when it's deadline time, and the deadline is tomorrow at 3:00 in the afternoon. You're talking about your quarterback. I've got no issue with you tagging a linebacker, a defensive lineman, a wide receiver. Don't F with your quarterback, man. You gotta have that guy. This isn't Kirk Cousins in Washington, where you knew they didn't love him and he didn't love them, but they needed each other for the short term. That doesn't appear to be the case with the Dallas Cowboys. You got to take care of your quarterback.
So far, we got 21 hours, or down to about 20 hours now, as we wait to see if Dak Prescott will be a long-term quarterback or just ride those annual increases until the Cowboys finally pay him or say goodbye. Andy Dalton's sitting there looking at this. I'm sure he's very interested today and tomorrow to see if he's going to be busy when the fall gets going.
He's going to be a backup either way. I mean, that's the thing, is Dak is under contract for next year right now on the tag.
That's true. That's true. But riding on that tag, that puts a whole bunch of pressure on a whole bunch of other people that we are going to experience as Dallas Cowboys that we have never done before. We've not dealt with this. We've seen franchise tags. We've seen angry folks. We've never seen a quarterback, the leader of this team, on a team that truly appears to be on the precipice, that truly appears, if things go well, they're going to be in position to be at or near the Super Bowl. And Cowboys decide that just, 5 years is too important. They're going to push it down the road and see what happens. I'm not as rosy outlook on this, Jason. I don't see this like it's going to be done and Jerry's going to cave, because he chose this fight for a reason. And I can't figure out why. I just can't figure out why he chose this fight over some of the others. It just doesn't ring true to me.
You've got a business philosophy that you stick with, and that's long-term deals. I'll show you the money. I'll give it to you, but I need it over a certain length of time. And, and I think, you can look at the numbers either any way you want to look at when it comes to Dak Prescott, the good numbers, the bad numbers. We know the guy is a winner. We know that Jerry and Steven have said multiple times how much they love him. Mike McCarthy has talked about the excitement of being able to coach him up. Honestly, this is Dak Prescott and his agent saying this is what they want. And Jerry looking at that saying, I've paid a whole lot of people in the hopes of winning a Super Bowl. We haven't got there yet. Had the Cowboys already won a Super Bowl, I don't think this is no brainer. Jerry will pay for that, twice over. But I do think when it comes to his business side, the savviness that Jerry Jones is as a businessman, he'll pay you. Market, he'll pay for it. But right now, he's betting on a futures market, and he's not going to overpay on the futures.
And there is going to be other quarterbacks available next year, too, if there is a snag. I mean, you'll have Cam Newton floating around there who is going to be eager and available after a moderately successful, we expect, with New England.
Aaron Rodgers might become available.
There's Aaron Rodgers and the McCarthy thing. So there are some subterfuge kind of aspects to this that we won't fully address until we find out whether a contract has been signed.
Houston. We'll trade him Bobby Carpenter.
He doesn't play for them anymore.
Yeah, about to say, I don't
Jerry
think
will still
Bobby's
trade
available.
him, and Bill O'Brien might take him.
Given the alternative, we will we'll actually talk about it. Commissioner Sankey of the SEC furthered his concern with the football season getting going, clarified some of the things he said last Saturday with Paul Feinbaum. We're going to hear from Sankey as to where the SEC sits now after a meeting yesterday, and also I'm going to tell you what an Iowa State AD, what the athletic director, the letter that he sent out to the alumni, explaining exactly where Power 5 universities sit on the with the idea of no or little football coming up in the fall. Lots to talk about in college sports coming up next here on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Nobody ever plans on getting arrested, but it does happen to a lot of people every day for all kinds of reasons. Even with everything going on right now, people get arrested every day. If it's not you, but it's a family member, a friend of yours that calls you and says, need a little bit of help, got arrested, you want to get out of jail fast, you want to get them out of jail fast, the best way to do that is by calling my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. or online, mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else to get out of jail. You don't want to be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you really understand what all those conditions are before accepting it. Your best option, AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans available, offer a free shuttle service. They're discreet and confidential and open 24/7 to get you out fast. Offices all over San Antonio and Texas. Services nationwide. So if you're down in Corpus, in the Valley, up in Dallas, anywhere in between, AA Best Bail Bonds, license number 149. Call them. The phone number, 210-225-2121. Remember that number, 225-2121, or online, mybestbailbonds.com.
Hey, don't get left out of the conversation.
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you did.
Follow us on Facebook at ESPN San Antonio and on Twitter at ESPN_SA.
And of course, on the go at ESPNSA.com.
1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM.
Protect what matters most, your family and home. Hi, Jason Middix here for BSG, the best local company for home security and smart home technology. The security system in my home is from BSG. From the equipment to the monitoring, and BSG on average is 20 to 30% less than the national companies. And it's not just home security. BSG offers connected car. Yes, you can tie your BSG monitored security system to your car that not only gives you info about your driving or your kids driving, but it will also send notifications if your battery is low or the tire pressure is low. BSG is the best in smart home technology. Lights, door locks, garage door opener, sprinkler system, and much more, including medical-grade air purification systems that were developed for the military to be used in chemical warfare and is able to remove viruses from the air. From home security to smart home technology, call BSG at 210-877-1222 or online at bsgtexas.com. That's bsgtexas.com. Injuries happen even during a crisis. When they do, skip the ER and get to the Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for injuries like broken bones, sprains, and strains. With 2 locations, they have extended hours Monday through Saturday, on-site x-ray, casting, and bracing. Ortho Now has everything you need to treat your injury with no urgent care or emergency room copay. Injured? Get to Ortho Now. Visit TSAOG.com/Ortho Now for more information.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
I got the juice, I got the juice. Channel, Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters
It's the
glad
Blitz.
I'm on. Rest in peace to my bag up.
Here on ESPN San Antonio, he's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. Basketball going on all around us. Got a TBT title game tonight. The bubble's in full play. And in Vegas, the 5 tournament's getting going next week. We'll talk with one in the know of all these things. Matt Barnes, NBA analyst, NBA lifer. Hey, Matt, thanks for taking some time for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on. Now you're getting ready for this 5 tournament. You're going to coach and commentate at the same time. I mean, I know you're talented, but how do you coach and commentate at the same time?
So actually, we had discussed coaching, but I told them commentating would probably best fit the schedule. So I'm actually just going to commentate, seeing that one team in there is from Sacramento, and me being a Sacramento native. So I'm commentating for the Sacramento game and then the game on the 28th, which is the women's game.
Matt Barnes joining us here on ESPN San Antonio. You know, as we do have sports getting going all the way around us, I'm curious if you were still active and in the game, what would have been your thought process about going into the bubble? We'll take the social side and the political side out of it. Just the physical idea of being in the bubble and playing underneath the umbrella of the virus. Would you have been ready to go? Would there have been any question in your mind if you had been on a team that was headed toward a title versus whether you were on a team that might have just been playing 8 games?
Yeah, obviously you have more incentive if you're on one of these better teams, with the chance to win a title. It's tough. You got to think majority of these guys are leaving their families behind. And one person in particular I know I can speak freely about is Trevor Ariza, who's a good friend of mine. And we had a conversation. He's just like, Matt, with the pandemic going on, with all this social justice stuff going on, I'm the man of my family. I can't leave my family in California and go all the way to Orlando and leave them unprotected. And I completely understood where he was coming from. Me personally, I feel that, that the NBA has exhausted all measures to make sure these players are going to be safe from a pandemic standpoint and testing and quarantining and all that stuff. So the fan in me, and the player in me, I definitely would have been excited because I think all the players miss basketball. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world, but I think, them getting back to playing and still being able to raise awareness around what's going on in the world is going to be a great thing for all of us.
NBA champ Matt Barnes with us here on ESPN San Antonio. Aside from basketball, imagine you're going into that bubble, and we've seen some guys bring in big old TVs. DeJounte Murray of the Spurs said he didn't take anything but his laptop to watch movies. What do you think the biggest challenge is for these players when it comes to downtime away from basketball?
Finding something to do, but I think like the rest of we've been kind of watching to see. These guys are fishing, these guys are golfing. JJ Redick beer bonging. They've been keeping us pretty entertained. So I kind of look at it, as an AAU tournament on steroids. It used to be a great time in the summertime where you get a chance to see all the best players in the world would come to Vegas and play AAU, and you got a chance to mingle and all. So I kind of just look at this situation as an AAU tournament on steroids. And, the one thing I will say, though, is, if you're fortunate enough to make it 3 months, that's a long time to be away from family or away from a significant other. So I wonder how that's going to work out and play on the minds of some players.
NBA champion Matt Barnes joining us here on ESPN San Antonio. And I'm curious, Matt, as we look at the games up front, the schedule and all the things that are coming into play here, when you see already a couple of guys have broken quarantine to go get paid, the idea of go get paid, go get food, and then, all the other rumors about, certain people flying in to take care of whatever, the Instagram models that are showing up. When you hear about players that are breaking quarantine, tell me about the locker room justice that goes on. If everybody's concerned about safety, how do you address guys that, whether inadvertently or not, broke quarantine and put this whole thing in jeopardy? How is that handled inside the locker room?
I mean, I don't know. This is a new day with these younger players, and the locker room's a lot different. You know, the locker rooms were changing as I was kind of phasing my way out of my 15-year career in 2017, and I couldn't tell you what a 2020 locker room is like now, but, you know, you kind of want to have everyone understand, you know, what's at stake. Obviously, I heard about the guys that, you know, quote unquote, crossed the gun line and had to go into quarantine while they were there. So, like I said, it's new to all of us. I'm sure it's obviously new to the players and new to the NBA and how they're going to handle every different situation. But like I said, to keep guys that are normally free to do as they please locked in one particular area for an extended amount of time is going to be a battle in itself. And I read something this morning where the anonymous hotline that the NBA has set up for people to kind of tap has been going crazy. So it's going to be interesting. It's almost like a huge reality show, and I think the world is going to be watching and learning on the fly.
Would you call the hotline?
I want to hear Joel Embiid try to fake his voice on the, oh, yeah, this is trying to turn in a Celtic after he had seen somebody out. Is this Joel Embiid? No, it's not Joel Embiid. Matt Barnes joining us here with ESPN San Antonio. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I mean, you look at it, you think about all the things that are there. Now, Matt, let's talk a little basketball. I know you never played for the San Antonio Spurs, but you do a great podcast with a former Spur and a good friend of our show in Steven Jackson. Imagine the 8 games that the Spurs get. And I know they might publicly say they're going to try to make a playoff push, but in reality, the playoff streak is going to come to an end, and they don't need to mess up their opportunity to get into the lottery. If you're Greg Popovich, how do you handle these 8 games? Is it just play the young guys and use this like an extended training camp for next year?
It'll be interesting, and that's the one thing you never know with Pop, but you know the decision Pop makes is 99% of the time right. So it'll be an interesting situation. You know, like you guys said, the playoffs are a long shot for this team, and you know there's some up and coming talent in the draft. So it'll be interesting to see how these teams that are obviously accustomed to making the playoffs, that aren't going to make the playoffs, play the situation, and then you know with teams that are on that bubble that really do have a chance to make the playoffs. Are you throwing Zion out there for 40 minutes a game, or is he going to stick to a minute restriction? So I think there's obviously a lot of strategy that's going to go behind what's going on out there. But, you know, my one concern is people don't understand, you know, they turned off, they shut the NBA off at a peak time. You know, as reporters, as analysts, you guys know, you know, post All-Star break is when the NBA really heats up. You know, you're getting your chemistry, you're working out the kinks in the lineup, you're getting healthy as you can be heading towards the playoffs. So for them to stop it for literally 3.5, 4 months, give them an abbreviated training camp, and then have them play only 8 games and then go into the playoffs. That kind of stuff scares me because, you know, our bodies, you know, we're creatures of habit. And if you've been in the NBA and, you know, someone from LeBron James has been a creature of habit for 17 years, and your body is accustomed to certain things and not accustomed to certain things. So I just hope, you know, the speeded up process of actually getting to the playoffs doesn't affect when it comes to injury-wise to these players that are playing.
Certainly a concern as Matt Barnes is joining us here on ESPN San Antonio. The 5 basketball tournaments next week out in Las Vegas. Matt's going to be commentating on that. Lots of information with basketball that's happening right now. Matt, I'm curious, as a basketball guy who's destined, I'm sure, at some point to be in a front office, if you're putting together a team right now, would you rather have youthful exuberance and lots of legs and athleticism, or would you rather have veteran savvy going into this very strange tournament format?
In this situation, similar to the NBA, I'd want a good mix of both. You know, obviously in the NBA, you know, young teams haven't fared well when it comes to playoffs. There'll be a great example. You know, great during the regular season, but you need that veteran leadership and savvy going into the playoffs. In a situation like, you know, the 5 tournament we have coming up, you're going to need, you know, some vets to kind of keep things in order and bring order on the court, but you're going to need those young, fresh legs that, you know, that are going to be ready to go at a drop of a dime. So this is going to be interesting, and it'll be an interesting format, and I'm really excited to be a part of seeing this because, Normally when we go through the world goes through a crisis or anything such, we've always been able to lean on sports to kind of take our minds away for a little bit of time, and we haven't been able to do that. So all these athletes are fully rested, in the NBA, in the TBT, in the 5 tournament. So I'm expecting to see some really athletic, exciting basketball coming to us.
And it's nice to, while we wait for the NBA to get going, Major League Baseball in a couple of weeks, football training camp in the NFL still a couple of weeks away. Like you mentioned, the TBT, San Antonio's own Marcus Keene playing in that championship game tonight with $1 million on the line. And you've got the 5 tournament that you're going to be a part of coming up starting July 19th out in Las Vegas. Tell us a little bit about the 5 tournament.
So it's players that had formerly played for franchises, and I don't want to mistakenly speak on it because I'm new to coming on board, but I want to say there's 5 or 6 teams with players who played in those franchises. So I know that the Sacramento team has a good friend of mine and former teammate, Mike Bibby, and it's going to be a 3-on-3 format similar to the Big Three, and I think it should be very exciting. Like a lot of these guys. The NBA only has 420 players, but obviously there's a lot more players in the world that can play this game. So, this is a chance for guys to show themselves and possibly get a look at training camp next year, similar to what the Big Three gave Joe Johnson. So I'm all for these leagues that give guys that either finished with the NBA or still trying to make a way into the NBA another platform to really show their skills to the world.
Matt, should we find Joe Johnson a hobby?
He loves basketball, man. I saw him.
He loves it.
This guy's a walking bucket. He just loves basketball. I was someone who, walked away on my own. I signed a 3-year deal the year I ended up retiring just because I felt I was excited about what life was holding for me next in business and becoming more of a father. But some of these guys absolutely love basketball, and you can't knock them for that. I had Vince Carter on my podcast right before we locked down for our little break, but he played 22 years, and he was saying just like, this is all I know. This is why I played for as long as I played. So for some guys, just that hunger is hard to kill. And I think Joe Johnson is one of those guys who can definitely still play. He's a walking 20-point a game guy. Amazing just to see, no matter where Joe's at, he puts up buckets.
We saw it at the Overseas Elite for sure. He put them up. One last question. We haven't talked about it. Without Avery Bradley, with Rajon getting hurt, you still like the Lakers, or who do you see coming out of the West?
So I had the Clippers at the beginning of this season, and I haven't changed. I think the world, it's going to be a scary time for the world because LeBron has never been this rested going into the playoffs. LeBron, throughout his career, has had to carry every team he's been on, and it's normally dog tired and musters up everything he possibly can come playoff and finals time. But you've got LeBron, not relaxing, but not playing for the last 4 months. So he's well rested. But I think it comes down to me with the Clippers is how many closers do these other teams have? You look at the Lakers, and obviously not having Bradley is a bigger deal than people realize. Not having Rondo is a really big deal as well. But when you look at closing games, the only closer the Lakers really have, and this is with all due respect to AD because he's a tremendous player, but he needs LeBron to get him going. LeBron is the only closer the Lakers have. And then I look, down the hallway, and you have 3 of the better closers in the game, and Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Lou Williams, and you have a bunch of other hungry dogs in that locker room. Montrezl Harrell, the Morris twins, Reggie Jackson. The list goes on with the talent that the Clippers have, and obviously Doc Rivers' resume speaks for itself. So from the beginning of the season, I had the Clippers, but I feel like regardless, the championship will be coming back to LA, and that's no disrespect to the Eastern Conference, but I really feel it's going to be the Lakers or Clippers, but I have the Clippers winning it.
A lot of people do, and Spurs fans don't want to see one guy get another ring, and you could certainly understand that as we speak with NBA champion Matt Barnes here on ESPN San Antonio. And Matt, before we let you go, we know you do a great podcast with Steven Jackson, and Rob and I haven't talked to Jack since the murder of George Floyd. We know what we've seen on TV and what he's put out publicly. I know he's a very good friend of yours. How is Steven Jackson doing?
He's tired. This has been a lot for him. George was a close friend of his, so it definitely hit home. And I've just been proud of my brother for him to go out and do what he's done. You know, this was never really his lane. You know, Jack is someone who's loyal, loving, and really sticks to what he knows. But this social justice, kind of was dropped on his front porch. And I think he's been an amazing voice and leader in this movement that could possibly change the world. You know, for the first time, the whole entire country was protesting, plus 18 other countries, which is huge. So, you know, my hat's off to him. We speak often, and I could tell you the one thing he says is he's just tired. You know, this guy is traveling constantly from state to state, doing marches, protests, educating people on bills that we need to vote on. So I couldn't be more proud of him, but I'll be happy when he can kind of just, you know, kick his feet up and really get some rest, because I know the gas tank is on E as far as he goes.
Matt Barnes right here on ESPN San Antonio. Great words for a good friend of San Antonio and the show, Steven Jackson. The podcast they share together is all the smoke. If you're not on that, you're not paying attention right. Matt, thanks so much for spending some time with us today, man. It's always a pleasure to catch up with a basketball mind that continues to click, man. It's always a pleasure to catch up. Take care of yourself, Matt. Stay safe. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Matt Barnes here on ESPN San Antonio. He is destined for a front office job. It's just when he decides that's what he wants to do, that's what he's going to get. The basketball mind is very much apparent. Always good to catch up with a guy who is not afraid to be controversial.
Not at all. And again, speak it like it is. I don't know that 10 years ago that you would have said, yeah, Matt Barnes is going to be an NBA GM. You look at what he has done over the last 10 years and how things have changed over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And you're right. You know, a mind like that is going to be making decisions for an NBA franchise.
It's going to be his decision as he progresses through the basketball. He's a basketball lifer. And when we come back, let's talk some college football. We've teased it enough. Commissioner Sankey with the SEC has some bad news. He clarified a little bit on Paul Feinbaum yesterday. And also, Iowa State sent a letter out to the alumni that does not sound good for the future of college athletics outside of football if there's no football this season. Let's talk it next here on the Blitz. 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Hey, let me tell you about Alamo Water Softeners, a great locally owned, family-run business by the Townsends. And you know, at Alamo Water Softeners, they love supporting our community and the military. And they're a proud sponsor and collection point for Operation Interdependence. If you have items you want to donate to our troops, drop them off at Alamo Water Softeners. They're on the corner of Thousand Oaks and Wetmore. And if you need a water softener, and we all do in San Antonio, call Alamo Water Softeners at 210-274-6122. At Alamo Water Softeners, they offer you high-quality, low-cost, low-maintenance water softeners for your home. And obviously, clean, soft water is a key part of us getting through COVID-19. And an Alamo Water Softener will give you that soft water, and it will save you some money. You see, an Alamo Water Softener can double the life of your appliances, and you'll see a 20 to 30% savings on energy used by your water heater. Call 210-274-6122. Mention my name, Jason Minix, and you'll receive free basic installation. You'll also get a free reverse osmosis drinking water system with the purchase of select new Alamo Water Softeners. Alamo Water Softeners is the kind of company you want to do business with. Your all-in-one water solution. Remember the Alamo Water Softeners, 210-274-6122 or alamowatersofteners.com.
We see you.
We hear you.
We denounce systemic racism.
We condemn violence, inequity, and injustice.
We pledge to use the power of our platform to spread facts and educate our communities.
We will be the change that we are calling for.
We are united for justice.
Nobody's more proud of what Diamonds Direct offers than our own staff.
Our standards are the highest I've ever seen in the business, and I've been in this industry my entire life.
Not only do we have the most competitive pricing in the industry, but the whole package that you get with it is incomparable.
One thing that always surprises clients is how much further their budget will go with Diamonds Direct.
But way beyond value, what we're most proud of is our total commitment to each and every customer.
We go above and beyond for our customers so that they feel valued and they know that they're valued.
We are really focusing on not making a sale that day. We want to make a friend forever.
It doesn't matter what size diamond that you're looking for. We're going to take care of you, and we're going to make you feel fabulous.
The philosophy to take care of the customer is just amazing.
When clients come in, I think what they can feel is our passion.
The electricity that you get in here, everybody's happy. It's such a friendly environment.
Diamonds Direct.
And you can feel that energy and that happiness every time you step into our showroom.
Come see and feel the difference. Your love, our passion.
at the shops at La Cantera.
You know, it is another hot day, well into the triple digits. It's not time to have your air conditioner go out. If you have problems with your AC, call Quartermoon Plumbing, Heating, and AC at 210-651-5899. Triple digit heat is here every day. For the next couple of days, it's going to be that way with an excessive heat warning. If you're worried your AC won't keep up, call Quartermoon. If you need a repair or you just want to upgrade your system, Quartermoon Plumbing, Heating, and AC is the company to call. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They will get you taken care of. You wake up in the middle of the night and it's hot, or it goes out in the middle of the day. You can't wait 3 or 4 days to get a company out to see you. Quartermoon will get out and take care of you. If you got plumbing issues, same thing. They're full service. Big job, small job, residential or commercial. Their service trucks are fully stocked, and they have all the equipment needed for any job. A great experienced staff that has earned an A-plus ranking with the Better Business Bureau. And at Quartermoon, they are green certified. 210-651-5899 is the number. 651-5899 or online at quartermoonplumbing.com.
Your source to local news in San Antonio begins with the San Antonio Express News. We've collected, written, and shown the stories that matter most to San Antonio. Look no further than the Express News to continue to provide information and strength to the community. Every day, news stories are spoken, providing hope and inspiration. The Express News is committed to providing timely and accurate reporting to help make a difference in the community we live in. Support local. We are San Antonio. We are the Express News. Come read us today at expressnews.com.
Before we can move forward, we have to get ready to start moving again. Movement is how we express ourselves. No matter if it's on the hardwood, the track, or the highway, movement drives our potential, and it helps us build momentum for tomorrow. Movement takes us further than we ever thought possible. It's what separates us in competition, and it's what unites us when we need it most. So when you're ready to start moving forward again, we'll make sure you're ready for every mile. Goodyear, more driven.
Getting to work is a little different right now. Your new commute may be to the kitchen, or the couch, or the basement. If your commute has changed, you could be saving money on car insurance. With pay-per-mile car insurance from Allstate, you get the same reliable coverage you'd expect, but only pay for the miles you drive. Drive less, save more with Allstate. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote.
Price based on driving behaviors and includes a daily rate subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and its affiliates.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference. Like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here to help, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, 24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need for summer car maintenance, and our professional parts people can help you find the best oil change supplies for your car. Get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $28.99, plus a $7 gift card after mail-in rebate. For your summer oil change, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, on the go at ESPNSA.com. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. Thanks for joining us. We're chasing Jimmy Johnson. Talk some Dallas Cowboy history. As soon as we get him, we'll have him on. That's an open-ended announcement as we chase Matt Barnes for 3 segments, and he showed. So maybe we'll just start throwing names out, and maybe they'll be karma. They'll just pick up and call. It's we want to.
Hey man, we're gonna have Herm Edwards on Thursday. Yeah,
there
you
we go.
Talk to Herm Edwards?
No, Herm Edwards will be on in 20 minutes, and as soon as Herm Edwards calls, Herm Edwards will get to the top of the stack, and we're going to put him on. So just be aware if you're listening right now. If Jimmy Johnson calls, or Herm Edwards, or anybody any more important than James Pledger, we're going to put him right on. But until then, we'll talk some sports.
I need a rankings list so I know what order to put these in when they all call in, because inevitably they're all just going to call in.
I think it'll be pretty apparent. I think you'll be able to figure that out by yourself. You don't need us to give you any insight. If, in fact, well, let's just go with this.
So Willie Anderson first.
If Willie, Willie, we might leave. But if Jimmy calls, or if Roger calls, or Troy calls, just put him right through. Standing order. And we're sitting trying to figure out how college football comes. We try to be optimistic, but with every passing day, I think we have to start sounding like Commissioner Sankey with the SEC. Now, we heard on Saturday, on the Saturday morning, came out and said signs don't look good with the boys that host that morning show, Marty and all those. He came on Paul Feinbaum yesterday to kind of clarify where he sits. And quite frankly, it doesn't look good, and I think he's trying to put the best light on, as he's the SEC, and that I think the SEC is going to be the last line of defense for college sports or college football this fall. They will be the last to say no, and until then, we have to act as if.
But they're not ready to make a decision yet, and they don't want to rush a decision. But as Sankey said to Feinbaum, trends aren't what they need to be right now. And obviously, I mean, that goes for everything and everybody.
There are any number of opportunities to learn, which is the way we've always viewed what would play out. So we'll go back to April. One of the guiding points, and I think I've shared with you this comment from one of our faculty members, is take as long as you can to make major decisions because you will have better information. So my comments last week over the weekend on Marty and McGee are an indication that the trends are not what we desired, not what we had experienced a bit earlier in the summer, very much in the wrong direction. And that's problematic. That doesn't mean that's the finish line. Things will never change. We've seen the news around COVID-19 alter itself in different ways over a number of weeks. And so what we've identified is an opportunity in late July for an important check-in to see what our public health reality is.
Yeah, well, check in. You know, if we got to put it back. What he didn't say is wear a freaking mask so we can have football. Don't you wish? Why do all these commissioners sound like the boring dude?
Play out. So we'll go back.
I mean, come on, dude.
Put on a damn mask so we can have football. That should be what we all put on a damn mask so we can watch football. I don't care what your political beliefs are. Put it on so next month on Saturdays and Sundays we can start spending some time watching real stuff instead of Netflix and reruns and half-assed minor league tournaments. We can get real football if you put on a damn mask.
Hashtag mask for football.
I think if it was parceled that way, there'd be a lot less bitching and a lot more people wearing masks, no matter what your political beliefs are, whether you think it works or not. Just put it on.
Can I say something? And I'm going to throw my brother under the bus here, but my brother, he's one of those. He wears the mask but wants to bitch about it, and he got a new mask that said something about so the people stop whining. And dude, you're the one whining. You're whining about wearing it. Call it a face diaper, call it whatever you want, wear the thing, because I also know him and yeah, I know how scared he is of this thing. So put on your mask. I mean, you can't have it both ways.
Face diaper. No, that's not a good term at all. We need to bury that one. Face diaper.
And again, I mean, you know, none of us like my wife is a nurse. She has to wear that thing all day, every day at the hospital. Not one of them, two of them, sometimes three of them. It's uncomfortable. It sucks. But if that's what you have to do, wear your mask. You know, she comes home and sometimes, you know, in her drive home, you know, the indentations in her face are still there by the time she gets home. Takes a while to come. That's fine. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Wear your mask so we can have football.
It's a badge of honor. Wear your mask. And the reason we talk about the importance of this, and certainly football, is vital to so many institutions and entities throughout the country that have nothing to do with the sport. The very idea of what football means to these college towns for home games and the money that is involved through ticket sales and all that affect the university and the surrounding areas is staggering. The athletic director for Iowa State, a man named Jamie Pollard, has been very good about communicating with his alumni there at ISU. He sent out a letter a month ago, back in late June, kind of outlining where they sit. And he's done it once again for his Iowa State folks. And he put it pretty bluntly. They're looking at approximately $40 million in unfunded expenses over the next 6 months if they don't play. $40 million. And when you apply that to the rest of the athletic department, you just start lopping off entire sports that are going to be unfunded and unable to participate. We're not just talking about scholarship money. We're talking about travel money. We're talking about everything that's involved. $40 million only over just the next 6 months. And what happens if they try to postpone things till the spring and then it doesn't work out in the spring? So suddenly you're up to $60 million in the hole at minimum to further your athletic department. We're talking about vast quantities of money, and we're trying, and athletic directors like Commissioner Sankey with the SEC, athletic directors like Pollard there at ISU are trying to balance the health and safety of not only their players, but their coaches and their staff and the janitorial services, everybody that would be involved, versus just eliminating a third of your athletics. Just they're gone. There's literally no money. There's no right answer here. But I think the sheer weight of the decision is just almost overwhelming when you look at what the outcome would be for either decision, to play or not to play.
Well, and again, I mean, you look at the domino effect. I mean, I think all of us realize the billion-dollar industry that college football is. And for the smaller universities that have already made the decision to either move football to the spring or not play altogether, the smaller conferences with no big TV contracts, they have to make that decision now. I'm a little surprised that the Pac-12 and the Big Ten made their announcements at this point. Because you don't have to make that decision right now. And, that's, I think, kind of the surprising thing, but it's the domino effect. You think about all the businesses in the communities and especially, you take a town like College Station, what a football weekend, a home football weekend means, those 5-6 Saturdays you get. A city like Austin, there's a lot of businesses that will suffer, but that's a major metro, that those businesses can find other things to survive. But you look at a small town like Tuscaloosa, you look at a town like College Station, where football brings in so much. It's not just the athletic programs, the domino effects, the poor broadcasters that get paid by the game. Let's keep our colleagues in mind. And,
absolutely,
not just the broadcasters, but, everybody that's a part of the TV production crew, all those. I mean, there are so many things, from the concession sellers, all across the gamut. And so you look at the decision that the commissioner is about to make, and the livelihood of the thousands of people that he indirectly affects or directly affects, that don't directly work for him, but it is an enormous decision. And I agree with Sankey. There's no reason to make that decision right now. There is not. We keep hearing the hints, either from our mayor or from Governor Abbott, that if things don't settle down, we could have another shutdown. We might be forced into it. And part of me thinks, well, you look at another set of numbers today that are over 500. What are we waiting for? If we shut it down, again, like we did before, and we see that number start arrowing in the other direction, isn't that what we need? Not that I want to see any kind of a shutdown, but if that's what it takes, because, wearing a mask apparently is too difficult. At some point, when do these decisions get made when you think about schools restarting and everything else? Because there are some things coming up with deadlines that decisions have to be made.
We talk about the economic ramifications for the small college town, and certainly that is huge. But just look inside the athletic department. Stanford cut 11 varsity sports, men included money-making sports. Men's volleyball, while it ain't big around here, is big on the West Coast, and people buy tickets to that. But as we were talking earlier, Jason, the Title IX requirements require equal amount of scholarships on both sides. Men's programs are going away. Women's programs are going away. 11 varsity sports from Stanford, which, by the way, has nearly $30 billion in endowment, and even that athletic foundation or athletic department can't keep up with the losses that are coming up here. Monumental decisions that we look at just as football, but it just goes so much deeper than that. And you can see why the reticence for some of the bigger conferences to delay the decision, because quite frankly, what we have now will not be what we have later if they do not play, even if they postpone it till the spring. It just seems I don't know, Jason. I think the general opinion is we need to get the pros got to play. The colleges got to find a way to play, but it's not necessary to the general welfare of the rest of the country. Whereas the effect of the pros is going to be felt on a macro level. The micro level of colleges not playing is going to be felt to mom and pops and everything else in between as these Saturdays remain wide open for an entirety of the fall. It reminds me so much of Jaws, the mayor of Jaws we can't close the beaches. We only make money 2 days a year. Everybody comes out next weekend. I don't care if the fish is swimming around. We're going to have to put up with the consequences. It certainly feels like that, as so many people are desperate to get in there, and it's worthy. You have to talk about it because the financial well-being of your alumni is in question as well.
Well, and again, you look at it, and football is such a monster that I think, you look at the SEC, they're hoping to find a way and to do it safely, and that is why they aren't making a decision now. And the way the numbers look right now, you can't make a decision today and say, yep, we're going to have football the way the numbers look. But if we can get it trending the other way, I mean, if we have what clearly what we're seeing is what's called a W effect. We saw it come down. Mm-hmm. Now it's coming back, that way, the recovery. It's not a U or a V. We didn't go down and come up. So, we got to go through this next hurdle part, and, hopefully things will turn that way. Things are turning. We got a little breaking news in the conversation with Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Fisher.
Here we go.
Mike Fisher, because I know we got the injury update next, so we'll get into this. But Mike Fisher, one of the best Cowboys insiders, and Brian Broaddus reporting that the Cowboys have renewed open communication with representatives of Dak Prescott and continuing to make him a deal. So we went from no communication and no scheduled talks to now they are at least starting to have some conversations as the deadline approaches.
They know each other's phone number. We're coming back talking injuries. We'll talk Dak Prescott following. Stay here. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Dan Levitard, weekdays 9 till noon.
How about the larger point of Aikman, Romo, and Witten getting all of the broadcasting jobs, Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders? Like, what is it about the Dallas Cowboys that just will put a microphone in front of your face and give you millions of dollars to talk?
America's did.
Is it still, though?
Oh, yeah. Set it on their draft caps.
Only on San Antonio's sports leader. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
Everyone loves Rico's nachos, but not everyone enjoys them in exactly the same way. If you're a kid at heart with no nacho rules, you're a nacho rebel. Crispy nacho chips, cheesy molten goodness, and spicy jalapenos are just the beginning. You and your rebellious mind can come up with all kinds of toppings. Explore your nacho creativity with Rico's Nachos. Rico's products are available at H-E-B, Walmart, and other grocery and club stores. For more info, go to ricos.com. Rico's, how to nacho.
Guys love shopping at Diamonds Direct because they can always get a bigger, better diamond for less.
We got a higher quality diamond for less money than we looked at any other stores that we went to.
I even shopped down in Mexico, thinking maybe down in the Caribbean it would be better off, and nothing could beat what I found here.
The value and the deal that you can get by cutting out the middleman.
You're certainly getting quality and price, which you don't find elsewhere.
But beyond the value, what guys really love about Diamonds Direct is they make it easy with transparency, education, guidance, and respect for you and your budget.
What I thought was going to be a stressful situation ended up being completely pleasant, enjoyable process from beginning to end.
For all the dudes out there, buying jewelry is difficult and stressful. Diamonds Direct eliminates all that.
If you're looking for zero hassle, zero high-pressure sales techniques, Diamonds Direct is the place to go.
Discover a truly guy-friendly jewelry shopping experience.
I guarantee you that once you walk in these stores, you're not going to go anywhere else.
Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
At the shops at La Cantera.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for the station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
At AutoZone, we're here to help you keep life moving. And we've got your battery needs covered. Whether it's in the form of a free test or just a free charge, we can help you start strong. And if it's time for a replacement, we've got a full selection of batteries starting at just $79.99. That's why we're America's #1 battery destination. Based on data from the NPD Group Incorporated Car Care Track, 12 months ending December 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Capital One knows life doesn't alert you about your credit card.
Hey, couch surfers, we've got nonstop tunes to keep you rocking while you work. Oh, and Colleen, yes, you Colleen with a K. Your free trial of Movie Plus ends tomorrow, and your card may be charged. Do you want to continue or cancel?
So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant. Eno looks out for surprise charges, like when free trials expire, and helps if you need to fix them. Eno, another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Limitations apply.
KZDC San Antonio.
This is Archie Manning, 1250 ESPN San Antonio.
And 94.5 FM, where the pros play. Jason Minix, Rob Thompson, the Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. Welcome aboard the Blitz. We got an hour of fun headed your way. It is Tuesday afternoon. We look forward to this all week long. It's time for the ESPN San Antonio injury update that is always powered to you by the Sports Institute over at TSA OG Orthopedics. I'd like to welcome aboard Dr. David Espinosa. Doc, how's your day going?
Hey, how are y'all doing today?
We are doing well as we get closer and closer to pro sports returning with NBA guys in the bubble. We've already had some injuries in the bubble. Surprisingly, not hamstrings, which I imagine those soft tissue injuries are the things that most trainers and athletes have to be worried about right now as they start their training camp.
Oh, absolutely. Just like at the beginning of spring training, there's a lot of the soft tissue, type injuries, but just injuries in general, that's why they usually have that good 6-week period to really ramp up. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens, since they're going to be kind of fast forwarding that usual 6-week period into about 4, if that, So, unfortunately, they're going to be on high alert for sure.
We are speaking with Dr. David Espinosa. It's our ESPN San Antonio injury update. You get it on the weekly, brought to you by the Sports Institute at TSA OG Orthopedics. Before we start talking about individual injuries, Doc, the NFL yesterday unveiled the Oakley Mouth Shield to combat the coronavirus. This plastic visor on the front of their face mask with little holes on them that I guess have been scientifically engineered to send the microbes, the COVID little beasties, away from the body and not toward another football player. We certainly all appreciate the NFL for doing all that they can to keep their players safe. But is this even a remote possibility that this kind of thing can work on a football field?
Well, like you said, I appreciate the ingenuity, the attempt, and hopefully it's just the first step. Obviously everything is wide open right now. We're trying to figure out how to combat the virus and protect ourselves and protect the athletes, right? And especially in these close contact sports, now golfers and tennis players and, to an extent baseball, typically don't have that same proximity, as football players and such. But, hopefully, we can pull some ingenuity out and, figure out a way to really protect the players. But, hopefully it's first step in a process.
But, and again, we realize it's a process, and the NFL is doing everything they can. But, let's go tackle each other for 4 quarters of football. But after the game, you can't do a jersey swap. From a medical standpoint, did you look at that and go, well, that's just stupid? Or did you go, okay, there's some valid reasons for that from a medical side?
Definitely valid reasons. Meaning, the guy's been sweating in it and coughing and spitting and who knows what all over that jersey all day, and then gives it to some other guy who may be clean potentially, right? And so there's definitely some signs behind that, but kind of one of those half-baked ideas where you have the right idea one aspect, but then you fall short in many others, right? And so that's where I think they're really trying to figure out, and unfortunately, again, it's going to require thinking outside the box, and isolating, some individuals such as coaches or elderly, people that might be at higher risk, potentially isolating him, maybe having him coach from the press box or something that will keep them away from the players. But if you got some guy in there with symptoms and he's sitting in a huddle and meeting up every 30 seconds for another call, it's like, well, good luck.
That feels that way. He is Dr. David Espinosa. This is the ESPN San Antonio Injury Update. And let's look at the first one that came out of the NBA bubble. We hear Sunday night, Rajon Rondo breaks his thumb. The expectation is he's going to have surgery and be out for 6 to 8 weeks. And if all things go as a scheduled or planned, he might be back to come and play as the playoffs progress if they're still in it. When we talk about thumb surgery, 6 to 8 weeks in recovery, is that legitimate to expect? Because that seems awfully short to me.
Yeah, for the most part, and really it kind of depends on the type of fracture that is involved, and I'm sure they're kind of keeping that a little more under wraps. But there's the 2 main types, is that we really consider our extra-articular versus intra-articular. And then another big factor that goes into determining that is that time frame is displacement, right? And so the fact that he actually is having a surgery, that could speak volumes as far as, the amount of displacement or whether or not it does involve the joint, which is an intra-articular fracture. And, because we have a high-end athlete, they're going to want to try to fix it as soon as possible. So that way, 1, he can get back hopefully in time for playoffs, but 2, for the longevity of his career, and that thumb, just with fractures and potentially involving the joint, long-term risk would be early onset arthritis, which would, in a basketball player, would definitely affect, his ability to play the game the way he normally does. So, but 6 to 8 weeks, yeah.
Well, and you look at that, it's early, so there is time if the Lakers are able to make that long run. But I'm assuming he'll go back to Los Angeles to rehab and recover during the majority of that. He won't stay in the bubble. Would it alter any of his rehabbing abilities or potential to get back to Orlando to be able to do the quarantine period before his scheduled like he's not going to be cleared and then have to go through quarantine. But if you go quarantine for 2 weeks inside the bubble, does that affect your rehab at all?
Well, so the good thing is that because it is an upper extremity type of injury, he is still able to, work lower legs, core work and keep that cardio up and the rehabilitation from that standpoint. He can keep that up. And I'm sure, with the Lakers and all their resources, I'm sure there are some, therapy specialists that will work with him out in Los Angeles. So hopefully that way he's primed up. But you're exactly right. The question is, coming from a state in California where their numbers are rampant, just like much of the South with COVID-19, is he going to have to quarantine while he's there and then take a private jet to come directly into the bubble? I mean, that's kind of the tough part. But, if they abide by that, then they may have to, definitely factor that in as he's quarantining prior to re-entry into this biodome they have over there, So
the biodome.
We'll
I appreciate that. He is Dr. David Espinoza joining us here on ESPN San Antonio. It's time for our weekly injury update. That's always brought to you by the Sports Institute over at TSAOG Orthopedics. Before we start getting into other injuries, we got news yesterday that Tim Duncan has gotten a bit of a promotion with the San Antonio Spurs. He's been promoted away as bench coach and is now part of the medical team as he's going to help to oversee the rehab effort with LaMarcus Aldridge as he works out his shoulder. In all seriousness, though, in the shoulder surgery that LaMarcus had, what exactly is the progress? At what point, is there a time frame for you lift weights and then 3 months from now you should be able to lift your arm over your shoulder? Then after you lift your arm over your shoulder, you should be able to do that. And what role will Tim Duncan play in the rehab of LaMarcus's shoulder as he takes over this with other medical professionals with the Spurs here in San Antonio instead of in Orlando?
Well, it may be more of a kind of one guy playing two roles, wearing two different hats as far as coaching and being part of the. If he's gone through it before, he would kind of know, okay, how it's going to go about and kind of the typical process, But usually after shoulder surgery, you're immobilized for quite a bit in a sling, and then some passive range of motion is where the trainers will kind of move the shoulder for the athlete prior to starting some active, type range of motion once enough healing has occurred. And so typically, after 6 weeks is when they'll start doing a little bit more of the mild strengthening, right? More so band work and some what they call eccentric loading. So basically more reps and little weight prior to even considering heavy lifting. So he definitely has a road ahead of him. And as far as, Tim Duncan's expertise, it might be more of I've been there before. Here, let's see what I can do to help out, or, if especially if, people are limited as far as, their availability in helping through a rehabilitation process.
Dr. Duncan, just add that to the Hall of Fame resume.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick before we let you go, Ty Black with the Baltimore Orioles hurt his shoulder on Friday, or not his shoulder, his elbow on Friday, his pitching elbow, had a little bit of soreness, and now they're already gonna plan on doing Tommy John surgery. That seemed pretty quick. Is it normally that quick, or is it just some things are just obvious? This is the fix. Go under the knife.
Well, unfortunately, in those cases, it might have been a result that came from an MRI that might have dictated the quick transition with the move. Once they do check that MRI and kind of determine the extent of the damage to that ligament, that might be what really triggered their 180, basically, from, okay, it's a little sore, but now we need surgery. And so, once that ligament, that ulnar collateral ligament on the inside part of the elbow, once it does tear to a certain degree, especially in a high-end athlete, Tommy John surgery or even a bracing type of surgery is really that next step, unfortunately. And it's almost kind of like the ACL in football or basketball. You're out for, a good while, up to 9 months at least, before we're.
Doc, I have a question about this. I've sadly had to deal with ACL and MCL injuries in the past, and I knew the moment that it happened that something had gone terribly, terribly wrong, that there was certainly surgery in my future. There was no question in my mind. And when I read stories about what Ty Black went through, he just felt a little bit of soreness. He experiences it. They go talk to the doc and they say, well, let's take and it turns out to be the most invasive possible procedure to get the Tommy John surgery. Is it uncommon, or is it common to have just a little bit of soreness, but that tendon is frayed or torn to the extent that it can only be repaired there? Or does it never hurt, or do you feel it pop? I'm very curious how he didn't know it was completely damaged and his season was done until somebody told him. All he thought was it was sore.
Right. And that definitely can vary, most of the time. Yes. You're absolutely correct. It's, they throw, they feel a pop, or they feel something just completely wrong, they stop pitching right away. And in those cases, you just flat out no, right? But with a lot of these pitchers, they're pretty sore, after a workout or just, regular outing, they're pretty sore in the elbow and the shoulder. And sometimes, depending on the athlete, depending on the player, they might just kind of glance over and think like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm just sore as I normally am. Or, they try to let it go, or they try to just, try to rehab it out a little bit. And don't pay too much attention to it. And then they don't realize it until they try to go and pitch again. And then that's when it tells them, nope, you're not doing this, right? And then that's usually what kind of drives, I guess, the advanced imaging and which can definitely change things, right?
He is Dr. David Espinoza. This has been our ESPN San Antonio Injury Update, always powered to you by the Sports Institute over at TSAOG Orthopedics. You have something snap, crackle, or pop? There's one number to call, 210-804-5555. Dr. Espinoza, thank you so much for taking time today. We appreciate your insight. Stay safe. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, it was great. Y'all have a good day.
Dr. David Espinoza right here on ESPN San Antonio. Jace, that always does astound me. The guy goes in 3 days after workout and he's told, yeah, you're going to need the most invasive, longest term rehab we can possibly offer you, Tommy John surgery. And you're like, Friday, I was just sore.
Well, that's what surprised me. It's like that escalated quickly.
Baseball guys, I guess they're just tougher than me. When we come back, we're going to hear from Derrick White and Patty Mills as the Spurs are practicing once again, and the legend of the Greg Popovich first meeting with all the players gathering together starts to grow. I think he might need to package this and sell it to everybody else as we go through these new and socially diverse times. Sounded like a great meeting was had, and we're going to hear from both. We're also going to talk Dak Prescott. Huge news coming next. We're going to tell you Dak Prescott might have a line of communication. We're not sure what that means. But we'll talk Dak next here on the Blitz. 1250 ESPN San Antonio. Yeah, there we go. You're on the Blitz. We'll be right back. Hang around. We're talking Cowboys and Dak next right here on the Blitz.
If I'm Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and I'm Dak Prescott and I'm Dak's agent, I wake up tomorrow morning knowing it's deadline day and it's going to be a busy day and I need a great breakfast. And if you want a great breakfast, you get those Kia Bossa breakfast links. Take your breakfast to the next level. Your day is going to start so much better when you add in those breakfast links that are uniquely Kia Bossa. Like the dinner sausage you already know and love. These breakfast links are crafted in small 150-pound batches with premium cuts of pork and hand-blended spices. They're bursting with flavor. They're not those dry, shriveled-up breakfast links you usually find in stores. They come fully cooked, so you can pop them in the microwave for an easy breakfast on the go because, maybe Jerry's on the other line. You got some negotiating, but you need your fuel. Kia Bossa breakfast links, they're perfect, especially if you're on one of those no-carb diets. Premium small batch breakfast links that certainly live up to Kia Bossa's high standards of quality. If they're not the best breakfast links you ever tasted, call Michael Kia Bossa. He'll give you your money back. Get into H-E-B. Get those Kia Bossa breakfast links today.
The first thing on our bucket list? Fill the bucket with ice-cold beer. Woohoo! San Antonio's sports leader. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
Sometimes our food is more than just food. It's an integral part of our community. So this year, Discover is giving $5 million to support Black-owned restaurants. To places like Rodney Scott's Barbecue in Charleston, Post Office Pies in Birmingham, Back in the Day Bakery in Savannah, and hundreds more places in your local community, all across the country. Learn how you can show your support at discover.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Limu, when we're not telling people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, I've actually been moonlighting as a DJ. What? Check it! Here's the good part! Liberty, 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 liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
It's the Blitz. Don't mind them brake lights. We'll get you all the way home. You're on ESPN San Antonio. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. Well, Jace, it's 6:18 in the blessed PM. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, some 21 hours away, thereabouts, we're going to know whether Dak Prescott will have a long-term deal with the Dallas Cowboys or just going to spend the next year under the franchise tag making a ridiculous amount of money with no long-term guarantee. We're almost to the end. We know they haven't talked lately, but we got some breaking news regarding the possibility
ESPN San Antonio, breaking news.
Well, see, and you say that. We know that they haven't talked. We haven't heard that they talked, but maybe they have talked and they just didn't put it on the Instas. Brian Broaddus from 105.3 The Fan, longtime scout, longtime guy with the Dallas Cowboys media network on 105.3 The Fan moments ago with this.
The way over to work with you and Lucius today, made a couple of calls, and there actually has been some communication. And I was told, and, we've been hearing that there was nothing since March.
Yeah.
Well, I was told there's been some open communication from both sides, but we'll see how productive that communication has been. So
okay,
we've heard a lot of reports about, hey, it was months before these guys talked, and now I'm hearing a little bit different story about that. So maybe something here in the next 25 hours could change things, but I'm kind of in your path right now that 90%, but who knows? At least they have been talking to a couple of different sources that I was able to get that information from.
So 90% a deal gets done or 90% a deal doesn't get done? There are 90% a deal doesn't get done, right?
Doesn't, yeah.
It seems that way. Doesn't.
All right, I'm in the 10% that they do get a deal done. Dak Prescott's agent and Dak Prescott, because the agent works for Dak, they've been steadfast on their demand, and they seem fine playing under the franchise tag. Jerry has the history with Tank Lawrence, with Des Bryant, and did he do somebody else right at the deadline? And Zeke.
Yeah.
No, Zeke. No, I'm talking about guys on the tag that ends up getting a contract. I still think Jerry gets a deal done, and the fact that they've had some conversations over the last couple of days, or maybe even today, if it was reiterating like, hey, this is where we are. Any movement on your side? Nope. All right, boys. We'll see you at camp on the tag. Maybe that's it. But if there was any kind of, all right, where can we get to make us both happy? Is that a possibility? And, if there was more than one phone call, doesn't that tell you that there was a reason to have a second phone call? Well,
to assume by the press reports that they haven't spoken is ridiculous. Of course they've spoken. If I was negotiating $100 million deal and I called my agent and I go, have you talked to Jerry or Steven in the last couple of days? Nah, man, I haven't talked to him since March. Guess what? I'm hiring a new agent. What are you talking about? You haven't talked to him since March. You better call him every freaking day. You better be calling him on the hour. Whether you might, I don't care if it's a no, at least you're hearing their voice. So I do find that that's ridiculous to even go. Of course they have been in conversation, whether it be through text or email or, just cutouts, where you got your spy going to the other place. They've spoken. But my concern is that it is newsworthy that Broaddus feels that it's important to tell us that if something should happen, at least they both have each other's phone number, that there is communication available to them. That is the bottom rung of the ladder. That's the first step. And we only got 20 hours before this. We're talking about a multi-year $100 million deal you have to expect with lots of things that need to be taken care of. And all they can tell us is, yeah, I got his number. Oh, that's a little concerning, though. That ain't all of it.
Well, but again, though, we went from no scheduled talks, and there was no plan to talk before the deadline. Again, though, I mean, we got nothing on the calendar. All right, well, we're all stuck at home right now. You send me a Zoom invite, I probably have a pretty clear calendar, right? I mean, there is that. There is that. But again, I don't care if anything's scheduled, Todd Archer. That can change in a minute. I mean, that's. The fact that they've had some conversations, and it sounded like Broadus was saying plural. Tells me there's movement.
Of course. I don't know about movement, but conversation.
Well, but again, though, I mean, if you've had more than one phone call, why have a second phone call? We've all negotiated stuff, whether you're at the car lot trying to get a deal done, and all right, well, let me go see my manager. All right, well, I'm going to leave, and you're walking out. No, all right, come on back. Well, you want the floor mats? We'll throw in the floor mats. I mean, it kind of feels. Are we at that point in the negotiation? You're getting a new house. Yeah, well, we need you guys to add in blinds or whatever the case is. I mean, there were some reasons to have more than one phone call. Having a phone call, I would expect. Having two phone calls tells me there was a reason for that second phone call.
We know that the length is the question. We also know that Jerry's not afraid to pay. You wonder if he could find that number on a shorter term deal that would make Dak comfortable, or a longer term deal that would make Dak comfortable, where he feels like he could come up with, maybe I pay you a little bit more than $5 million more than I should every couple of years for the duration of this slightly longer term deal, but at least I'll be able to move it. If it is just about pay, do you think Jerry could go high enough and still keep some self-respect and say, well, at least I got him for $5. It cost me a lot, but I got him for $5, and I can go ahead and work my plan that was a 5-year plan with maybe just a few dollars there? Or is it, Jerry, this is literally something the Cowboys cannot do. They cannot go 5 years. We won't go 5 years because 5 years from now, I've got these guys that are going to have to be paid. And if I'm paying you, I can't pay them.
Well, when there's a will, there's a way. And I look at the Cowboys salary cap numbers, and the salary cap numbers say, that's going to be a challenge. But Jerry has always done that. And every NFL does. I think in the eyes of a pandemic that nobody saw coming, you can blame the Dallas Cowboys for not taking care of this sooner. And this is Jerry's fault. And watching Patrick Mahomes get a deal done, hearing some of the numbers for Deshaun Watson, I'd feel for Jerry if Deshaun gets a deal done. This is on Jerry, although I will say Dak has to want to sign the deal that was in front of him. But Jerry has prolonged this to get to this point. But they're all looking at a pandemic now that nobody in any business could project financially what was going to happen in the year 2020. And I don't think anybody can accurately predict what your financials are going to look like next year or the year after, or maybe even the year after that. So that's why I think if you're Dak, try to lock in as much guaranteed at this point as you can, because we have no idea. I mean, we know that TV contract next is going to be massive. But that TV contract is only massive if all the big sponsors still have the money that they're willing to spend on the National Football League. And if some of those big sponsors can't afford what the NFL has been charging, does that affect how much money is going to be in that TV deal? I mean, the advertising dollar, you wonder at that level what it's going to be like.
While Dak sits and waits, others look like they're fixing to get paid. Myles Garrett might have a whopper of a deal. Looks like he's signed something. Chris Jones with the Kansas City Chiefs is signed as well. Those franchise tags, they weren't only in Dallas. Others were dealing with them, and others are getting paid. The defensive side of the ball, bringing in some cash. We'll look around the NFL when we come back. And also, we're going to look at Derrick White and Patty Mills. They're practicing in Orlando. We got to hear from them yesterday. Lots of news coming up locally as well. We're going to talk about them both next. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com. If you're watching us live on our Facebook feed, you'll see me with this glass in my hand. It is lemon water with a little bit of maple syrup. See, what I'm doing is I'm kickstarting my metabolism. See, I've been going to the Institute for Functional Health for almost 9 months now, and it has been, by every measure, at least in my life, an absolute success. I have lost weight. All of my medical numbers are well within the healthy realm, from whether it's pre-diabetic, whether it's my triglycerides, whether it's my blood pressure numbers, whatever it might be, I'm in the realm where I feel as good as I'm told I am. It used to be different. I would go to the doctor and I'd say, I just don't feel well. And he'd say, well, for considering the shape you're in pretty good shape. But that wasn't the the answer. I was overweight. I was nearly diabetic. I had high blood pressure. I had sore knees. I had everything that goes along with being obese. I found a better way to live. I didn't find a diet. I found a way to eat and live healthy. Dr. Torres and the Institute for Functional Health offered me a program that was designed exclusively and only for me. This is not a one-size-fit-all. You do this every 6 hours, you're going to lose some weight. And as soon as you stop doing this, you're going to gain some weight. Well, one of the things about this is you learn to eat healthy. You learn what powers your body specific to you. Others might not deal with the same issues you have. You wouldn't expect them to deal with your plan on healthy living, and you won't want to live with theirs. Dr. Torres put one together for me, and it has been successful. Do I need to upkeep some things? Do I need to kickstart my metabolism periodically? Yeah, I do. But I will put up with that because I live a healthier life. I will live longer because I went to Dr. Torres and the Institute for Functional Health, and I want that for you. If you're dealing from everything from Hashimoto's to brain fog to those arthritic knees that just can't handle the weight anymore, maybe you're snoring all night long and not getting the sleep, and you spend all day drowsy. You lose some weight, you can get it fixed. Go talk to Dr. Torres. Have your free consultation. You can do it by phone. You can do it via FaceTime. He is available to you in a variety of different ways. If you want to go down and meet the staff, they're covering every base. Every protocol is being covered. I've been down there a couple of times. I felt absolutely safe while I was in there. And on top of all that, you're going to feel great. You're going to feel better sooner than you might think. Don't diet. Don't take something off a plan. Have somebody put something together for you exclusively. Have a medical professional get you ready to live healthier. Make the call. Here's the number, 210-468-1891. Again, 210-468-1891. The website, the Institute for Functional Health.com. They will work with your insurance companies. They'll do everything they can to have you living a healthier life. All you have to do is make that step and move forward. Call the Institute for Functional Health now. Again, the number one more time, 468-1891. And I know for sure you will thank me later.
Get 100% sports while you give 50% effort at work.
Is that a rhetorical point, or would you like to do the math?
I'd like to do the math. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
Hey, this is Rob Thompson here from Manscaped. I'm here to remind you to take care of your boys. Make sure your junk is trimmed and presentable. The Lawnmower 3.0 will protect your boys the best way possible. No more nicks and scratches and cuts. Advanced skin-safe technology is all part of the Lawnmower 3.0. It's water-resistant in the shower, not 7,000 RPMs of quiet perfection. Easy trim and take care of your junk. Trim that yard. And when you use Blitz 20 at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping, take care of your boys.
O'Reilly. This is Derrick's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Capital One knows life doesn't alert you about your credit card.
Hey, couch surfers, we've got nonstop tunes to keep you rocking while you work. Oh, and Colleen, yes, you Colleen with a K. Your free trial of Movie Plus ends tomorrow, and your card may be charged. Do you want to continue or cancel?
So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant. Eno looks out for surprise charges, like when free trials expire, and helps if you need to fix them. Eno, another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Limitations apply.
Work at home. Work out at home. Second period math at home. Date night at home. Lately, we're doing a lot more at home, which means we're doing a lot less driving. With pay-per-mile car insurance from Allstate, you get the same reliable coverage you'd expect, but only pay for the miles you drive. Drive less, save more with Allstate. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote.
Price based on driving behaviors and includes daily rates subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and its affiliates.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich. Throw that to the side.
Yeah, it was probably the best way we could start, like being back together again, from being apart for so long, because it's obviously a topic that everyone is not only so passionate about, but directly involved in. So it came across a real genuine, interactive way where where you know a lot of people played a part in that conversation. You know, and open themselves up to being able to have these open and honest conversations. So it was a great start for us just to be able to come back together again after being away from each other for so long. You know, and I think that an environment like this, you know, is good for us. It's good for our team and our organization. You know, it reminds me of the national team when we go on tours over to Europe and we're away from home for, you know, a month, 2 months at a time, just playing basketball. So this is the type of environment that we're in this bubble. You know, so I think over the course of this time, if we look at the big picture and where we're trying to go, you know, this is just a small seed that can, you know, hopefully we can grow out of.
Patty Mills talking planting seeds in the bubble as you're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM. On the go at ESPNSA.com. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. Patty Mills speaking in the bubble yesterday, Jason. And who is it that referred to him as now the conscience of the team, the moral backing that is the San Antonio Spurs? He has taken over that realm. And every time you hear Patty speak, certainly you can feel it. But what we are getting from every player that we have heard from since they entered Orlando was the meeting on Saturday when the team finally got a chance to gather together. And the hour or so that was spent prior to practice as they had an opportunity to meet, see each other again, get to know each other again, and talk about all of the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and all the societal changes since they relaxed together. And to a man, Jason, they have just spoken so highly of what Pop did. You almost want to go, can you put that together, Pop? Can you package what you did for your team and let us all get in on it too? Because these guys are fired up not only about playing basketball with their teammates and their family, as you know, in quotes, but also they feel you can tell they all feel connected and on the same page as they progress outside of basketball. And Patty Mills, I think, put it very well.
Well, he did, and I tell you the idea that Greg Popovich, when he met with the media Saturday afternoon, I guess gave the media a little bit of insight into what he was going to talk to his guys about when he talked about a particular article that was recently published that, you know, just so informative. And, you know, Pop spent a lot of the downtime reading and studying. And we knew, you know, talking social issues is something Greg Popovich has done for years. So he was going to take the opportunity with his team getting together for the first time as a full team like that to talk about it. And even a player like Derrick White talked about the impact that hour had on him.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, obviously some things that we can keep within as a team, but just some things stuff that we don't talk about in the history books, stuff that we aren't taught in schools, stuff that need to be talked about in schools and taught and learned. So Pop was talking about some New York Times article he's going to give to all of us, which will allow us to learn some more. So I think that's really an important thing, is just to know the history, read and learn. And so that's just what I took from it, that we can always learn more and dive deep into the history books more.
You know, they're stretched, they're ready to go. We haven't practiced in months. I'm on a full basketball court with more than just an assistant coach and a ball boy. It's time to go. And then Pop goes, hey, let's all gather around, let's talk. And you go, oh, are you kidding me? And then an hour and a half later, they're all fired up about where they are, both physically and socially. I think that the springboard to a good couple of games is certainly there. We have seen a couple of tweets floating around, and I wish I could give credit to whoever sent it out. We saw some video of the Spurs working out yesterday's practice, and the starters, so we were told by the tweet, were not what we have become accustomed to, but certainly something that I think we should expect. In the youth will be served in these first 8 games, and according to the tweet, the starters that were playing, the running with the ones, were DeMar, Keldon, Jakob Poeltl, Trey Lyles, and Lonnie. No DeJounte and no Derrick. When I saw those 5, that tells me that there are 2 squads and nobody playing more than 20 minutes apiece. The good news is, though, we've got Derrick and DeJounte actually playing together.
Well, and again, I mean, you think about those two playing together, and I don't know what to make of what was put out, with the starting five or you know what I mean? It's hard to take a little bit of video and out of a bubble where no media is there. So we're being shown exactly what they want us to see. But at the same time, you look at it and you go, well, that certainly could be interesting if that's the way they do it, because we do expect to see a lot of guys, a lot of the younger guys playing more. And even Derrick White talked a little bit about, playing with DeJounte, who was finding his groove before the hiatus.
I mean, when you come back from injuries, it's always going to take you some time to get your feet back, get your legs back underneath you. I mean, especially a young player. So I definitely felt that he was getting more confidence, doing things that we know we can do. So, I mean, every time that we're out there, I feel like it's just a better chance for us to get better, learn a little bit more. Something you can't learn from teaching. You just got to experience it personally. So being out there and getting that game experience.
That's what they got to do. But I like the idea of those two running together.
They have to. Remember, for the first 4 months of the season, quite frankly, they spent about 5 minutes together on the court. And you know that DeMar is going to be part and parcel to that first unit. I appreciate that Keldon Johnson is getting a little opportunity to run with those guys. We didn't get a chance to see much of him. We know that he was a G League All-Star, and the defense that he brings to bear will play a role with the Spurs in these 8 games. I like the separation. I like the guys that are going to be playing. If that's where we sit, Lonnie and DeMar, that spreads the court. We got Jakob and Lyles out there as well. I like that matchup, and I love the idea of Patty Mills, DeJounte, and Derrick White coming out in that second unit, or however they want to play, adding a little bit of pepper and a little bit more speed to an offense. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be fun to see how Pop utilizes the system. We've talked about it a lot as you plan for next season. But now we're seeing some fruition. If, in fact, we see 2 different units of Derrick and DeJounte's playing together, that's positive news for everybody involved. It doesn't tell me that DeMar is going to be a long-term solution there at one of the guards, because he ain't with the 2 potential starters next year. Very interesting to see what Pop's going to do with these guys. Lots to go before they see the Bucks next week in their first scrimmage game. We know that Giannis came off the court yesterday, said he sucked. I'm very curious to see what the Spurs have to offer against a very good basketball team. And while we're talking about what's going on in practice or with the Spurs, news today coming out of the Philadelphia with Brett Brown and the Sixers, him convincing Ben Simmons to leave that point guard position and play just about exclusively at power forward. That is a huge move. Brett Brown, I don't know how he convinced Ben Simmons to change positions, knowing full well that power forwards don't get paid like point guards do. I mean, if you're going to be a power forward, you're just not going to get the check, but you're going to have to prove that you're capable of affecting the game with your passing and your dribbling down low, because that jump shot has never come around. I think that the Brett Brown walks away with a win here, and this is the first significant change to a contender that we've seen so far, considering where they are. Moving him down to the front row, the front line with Joel Embiid, Jason, I think is a phenomenal move for Brett Brown. And the reason I think it's so important is, if this doesn't go well, I don't think Brett Brown comes back for the 76ers next year.
Well, I've thought that, I don't know how many years in a row, how long is Brett Brown going to have? But I do think when you look at, you got 8 games, this experimental bubble, if you will, has got to be a big reason why Brett was able to convince Ben that this is the best for the team, and maybe the best for Ben Simmons. And, maybe, when discussions with his agent and all that kind of stuff, maybe there was some assurances from the 76ers that this won't cost you any money, but this is for the betterment of the basketball team. We got 8 games to figure it out, and then the postseason, and we'll see how it goes. And you got to think that had to play a role in it. We've got a short window here where we can experiment with some things. I don't know if Philadelphia looks at themselves inside that locker room as a team that has a legitimate chance of winning a championship this year. I know they're going down there trying to make a run, but if you look at things realistically, and maybe that's what Brett said, this betters our opportunity of winning a championship if we're able to make this change, because we're going to be a more productive basketball team. I've had 4 months in the lab looking at film. See, I'm not Greg Popovich. I watch film every day, and I think this is what we need to do. And if you're on board, we've got a short amount of time to experiment. And if it doesn't work, then we move you back. Although, never moving back.
I can't imagine. We were told he'd be able to jump shoot. That never came to fruition. The funny thing about the Sixers is Brett Brown was in trouble before he righted the ship, and it's going to go according to what Embiid does, however motivated he is. It will open up that team. It'll open up that game. And we'll wait to see what Al Horford does here, because he has had a lot of trouble there in Philadelphia. And now Simmons has moved into his spot. That's a high-paid guy that if he comes through, if this works out, suddenly the Sixers might be one of those outside shot teams that looks at Boston and Milwaukee that can be big enough and fast enough to run with either one of them. The bubble continues. We'll make sure you're up to date with all the Spurs news, as we do every day, all the time here on ESPN San Antonio. When we come back, though, tomorrow is the deadline for all those guys that have been given that franchise tag. Guys are getting paid around the league. Myles Garrett got him a big deal. It looks like Chris Jones there at Kansas City did as well. We'll look at the money being thrown on the defensive side of the ball. Instead of getting franchise, they're getting paid long term. We'll talk next here on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Talk about all those guys getting paid. What about you? Do you have a retirement plan? No matter your age or how close you are to retirement, you need a plan to make sure you don't run out of money. Jason Minix here for Pax Financial Group. At Pax Financial Group, they know that you want to be financially prepared. And in order to do that, you need trusted guidance. At Pax Financial Group, they have the experience and tools to crunch your retirement numbers and get the answers you need. If you have a plan, let Pax double check all your numbers. At Pax, they believe everybody deserves to be hopeful about their future. They understand why it is important for families to protect their hard-earned money, and a key reason why they're a trusted financial advisor for so many families over the past decade. Connect with Pax Financial Group, 210-881-5700. 881-5700, to go online, paxfinancialgroup.com. That's PAX financialgroup.com. Investment advisory services offered by Pax Financial Group, LLC.
It's a good thing this video game is rated mature, because it's going to be babysitting the kids tonight.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
San Antonio's sports leader, 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
If you're a bacon lover, I've got great news for you. This is Michael Kielbasa with Kielbasa Smoked Meats. Our authentic dry-cured bacon is now available at grocery stores near you. We make it the old-fashioned way with the finest pork bellies in our legendary spice blend. We don't pump it full of water or chemicals like other brands. All you get is thick, savory slices of delicious bacon. I hope you'll give it a try, and if it's not the best bacon you've ever eaten, I'll give you your money back. Kielbasa Smoked Meats, slow-crafted in Texas since 1949.
Northeast Independent School District is now hiring and training school bus drivers. Whether you're looking for a new job, you're a retiree, or you're retired military, come help drive students to succeed and apply at Northeast ISD Transportation today. No experience is necessary, and you will get paid while earning your CDL and learning how to drive a school bus. The Northeast ISD Transportation Department is ranked as one of the top 100 school bus fleets in America, and our drivers receive exceptional pay and benefits, including health, dental, vision, and retirement. If you're looking for work, if you're retired from the military, or you simply want to make a difference in our community, apply now with the Northeast ISD Transportation Department. Join our team and discover Northeast ISD by calling 210-356-9229. That's 210-356-9229. Or you can text Drive Bus to 797979. That's text Drive Bus to 797979.
Get a great deal on the durable Kubota L-Series tractor. Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota L-Series tractor is the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. for over 10 years. Get an L-Series tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 60 months, plus save up to $1,600 now through July 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
From the Gulf of Mexico to the hill country of Texas for over 70 years, Ewald Kubota is your Kubota dealer.
It is the Blitz. Welcome aboard a very fast-moving Tuesday afternoon show. You missed the injury update. You missed Matt Barnes. If you miss any of the Blitz, there's one place to go to ESPNSA.com. There you can see the end of our video, but there you'll also find the AA Best Bell Bonds audio vault. You can catch up on all things Blitz all the time and listen at your leisure. He's Jason Minix. I'm Rob Thompson. The NFL's deadline, the last real pay deadline of the year before we start progressing and working toward next season or the current season. Franchise guys are getting paid. Looks like Myles Garrett is up in the Aaron Donald territory of money for a defensive player. We're talking buku dollars on the defensive side. We talk so much about Dak and the quarterback money. The real change in the NFL over the last couple of years is defenders are now getting paid, legitimately paid. Aaron Donald got it. Looks like Myles is getting Chris Jones as well, Jace.
Well, and you look at it, and again, I think some people will see the difference in money between Myles Garrett, who's already gotten an email from A&M's alumni fund.
Yes, sir.
And others is Myles is a 5-year deal. And I don't know if have you guys seen the guaranteed part of it. It's reported at 125, but I want to see what the guaranteed part of that money is. Same thing with Kansas City on a 4-year deal, but that extra year makes such a difference on a signing bonus and guaranteed money because teams are able to spread that out. I mean that. That's why. And you look at others like, Shaq Barrett not expecting to get a long-term deal before the deadline, and that doesn't surprise anybody. The decision is it's all about the Dak decision in Dallas. Triple D's, baby. Let's get it done.
The expectation is there is a line, a connection, a hotline, if it were, as it were, between the CAA and I guess Jerry's yacht. I don't know where he might be, but we were told by Brian Broaddus just a little while ago that there is an open line of communication. There have been discussions. It hasn't been all quiet on the Eastern Front. Certainly discussions have been in play over the last several months. Officially, no, but unofficially, yes. Brian Broaddus said 90% chance nothing happens, 10% possible. Jason's hanging on that 10% because it's better for both if they'll just get the deal done. Both parties can put it behind them and move forward. This is if they don't get it done. Can you imagine another year of this? Another year. And now we start talking about, we have always said deadlines make deals, Jason, and Jerry's been very good about deadline deals. $38 million against the cap in 2022. That's what Jerry's facing. That's a deadline that will either make a deal or end the relationship. If they don't get it done now and they don't get it done next year, there's no way Dak gets a long-term deal. He goes up on the open market, and Jerry then starts bidding against others, not just future earnings.
Well, and you look at the $38 million next year on a 2021 cap that is likely to remain flat. And, that is something that no NFL owner could have predicted or forecasted for. Is a flat cap. It goes up every year. So they work all these deals, the Zeke deal, the Amari deal, all those deals were worked in, put on the spreadsheet with the idea of what they predict the cap number is going to be for that particular year. If you're looking at a flat cap for next year, the idea of $38 million all in 1 year tells me Jerry is going to cave tomorrow before 3:00. Now, if he doesn't, I don't see another year of Dak playing on a franchise tag, but I don't know why Jerry would wait. And quite frankly, when Jerry does come back with his offer that is going to be the year's thing, if you're Dak, you've bet on yourself long enough. Sign the deal, lock in that security. You're the quarterback of the team. You are the leader of this football team. It hasn't gotten ugly between the two sides. Dak is on record saying he's got confidence that the Cowboys will get a deal done and that his agency will get a deal done. He always says, I got other people that handle it, but I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be here. Put the pen on the paper, sign the deal. You're having life-changing money, another phrase that you have used multiple times.
If he doesn't, the good news is $31 million this year, 10 times what he has made through the NFL so far. If it doesn't happen next year, then he does have $38 million if he chooses to sign it. And if he's over the 2-year span, he would be the highest paid player in the NFL. So even if he doesn't sign anything, he's got career life-changing money. It will never matter again after you put $60 million in the bank, or after taxes about 30. Dak will be able to move on comfortably. He knows he's set for life. It's just the idea of what he's worth, and Jerry just doesn't want to pay him what he's worth over that length of time. It's just not going to happen unless it does, and we are down to just a couple of hours.
Not going to happen unless it does. I mean, that's where we are. I think Jerry will pay him the money that he wants, but Jerry wants to pay him that money over 5 years, not that same money over 4 years, minus the year. But you talk about the difference between $30 million that he's going to put in the bank this year. Former co-host Dat Wynn told me many times, once you get to $50 million cash flow, you can do anything you want. Up until then, you can't. The difference between 30 million and 50 million apparently is incredible when you go to the bank to try to go do stuff. And, endorsement money and all that stuff is going to be there. And if you're Dak Prescott, you're taking all of this money and you're making that money work for you, and you're living off of your endorsement money, and you can do that. But 1 year at 30 million this year, never mind the couple million that he's made so far being a 4th-round pick. If he goes out and blows out a knee next year, that's what I look at and say, dude, you've got it. They're offering you that kind of money. What is the guarantee? Put that in the bank, and let's not stress out. Let's go Patrick Mahomes and say, man, I want a 10-year deal so I don't have to deal with this crap. I know I'm set, and my grandkids are set, and their grandkids are going to be set.
The idea that he won't sign, I think, was absolutely unfathomable to us, even in training camp. Even when we looked at it in training camp, we thought that by now it would be absolutely done. And it, despite all evidence to the contrary, Jason's going to hold out hope that by the time we are talking this time tomorrow, that the contract will be done. I just cannot see how it's going to happen. If it is 4 or 5 years and there is no debate, and we're talking a difference of $20-30 million in that 5th year, I don't see how Dak says yes, and I don't see how Jerry says yes. I just don't see how we get there unless the cooler minds prevail. But, we got time between here and there. We got a full day and open communication, so we've been told. We hope that maybe it's been quiet negotiations behind the scenes following the Lee Steinberg playbook, where everybody hugs and says congratulations and they get to work. Your guess is as good as ours as we head toward it. We do want to remind everybody that right now, San Antonio's own Marcus Keene is playing in the TBT. Make sure you go check it out. We have a local kid, might be several $100,000 richer here in just a couple hours as they're taking on the Marquette squad. Mo Creek and Marcus going at it. We might even see some Diamond Stone tonight too with the sideline cancer, man. Let's enjoy it tonight. This is high-level basketball. It'll be your last taste for a couple of weeks as the NBA will be available to us next. And Joe Johnson will continue on his circus as he plays in the 5 next week. Jason, say goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow with one more edition of the Blitz. You didn't say goodbye.
Well, despite the sports world stoppage, the NFL and the Cowboys continue on.
Talks have resumed with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
They know they're going to have to pay it. We've always speculated that the delay is really on the structure of the deal. The general ballpark financially has got to be in place because that's kind of set by the market. But how many years is it?
The Blitz, weekdays 4 to 7. Your home for everything Cowboys. 1250